And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday night. You will know what that means. It is time for another round of the 10th season of the Bandit Racing League here on Full Send Racing Network. The Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series comes to you for the 14th round of the season tonight here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, an iconic track of NASCAR racing, stock car racing in general, the former venue of the finale for each season of the NASCAR Big Three Series, that being the Cup, Xfinity, and Trucks. Tonight we come to you in the NASCAR Xfinity cars for the second round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge, a special little mini championship we're running this year within the overarching Bandit Racing League Season 10 championship that is made up of 3 races at Indianapolis, Homestead-Miami, and Phoenix. Well, we've already run Indianapolis, so there's 1 of 3 down, and now we go to Homestead next. And well, what a start to the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Championship it was at Indianapolis a few weeks back, but well, just what a start to the Bandit Racing League season it's been in general. Again, thank you to Rogue Energy, our main partner for tonight, as tonight's sponsor of the Triple Crown Challenge Round 2. We will talk plenty more about them throughout tonight's race, but before we get too far, we got to introduce myself and my co-host alongside me tonight. Well, he's going to be on the graphic here, and we'll give him a shout out because he does always provide the graphics for this series, and he is the reason these broadcasts look as good as they do. Mr. Evan Wall, we want to thank him for everything he does for the series. But no, joining me, Marshall Crocker Jr., your host here on Full Send Racing Network, joining alongside me tonight in the broadcast booth once again for, I believe, the 4th week now in a row, and what a 4 weeks it has been. It makes my job infinitely easier. He's been such a pleasure to have joining us in the booth full time as of the last couple weeks, and he is back tonight for a good race. Welcome into the booth, Mr. Chris Ferrara.
Marshall, thanks once again for having me. It's always a pleasure. I got my colorful shirt on today because we are in South Beach, and I'm very excited for this one. This one's going to be a good one, and I can't wait to get over all these talking points that we have for tonight. Lots of drama tonight.
There is so much drama. There are so many things to go over. We have not only the mini championship here for the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge, but we also have the championship for the regular season championship, with the prize being awarded to the very winner of that mini championship of sorts. So we will talk plenty more about that coming up in just a second. First, we're going to talk about your race sponsor and a little bit more about the Triple Crown. First, I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. I am up here in lovely Ontario, Canada, a couple hours outside of Toronto, and we are having a bit of a weather event up here. We have a very serious series of thunderstorms and some tornadoes as far north or south as London, Ontario, not the one in England. Basically, there's some severe weather events happening around here, so the presumption is that I will be fine and none of my internet stuff will go out as a result. But if at any point the broadcast does just suddenly drop out, just know that that is what it is, and if possible, we will try to get it fixed, and I will put out a message to you guys as soon as that happens. Again, very slim chance, but we just want to make sure you guys know, as that could be a possibility, but I'll be fine, and hopefully everything gets figured out before the end of the night. With that being said, though, tonight is the second round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge, and as you can see on that graphic there, our winner in the very first round was also our winner of last week's race at Charlotte, Mr. Nick Nickerson. He's your leader in your regular season points championship. And, well, what a start to the year it has been so far. So before we get too far in here, we first of all want to talk about Rogue Energy, your sponsor and our go-to for anything energy drink related here in the Bandit Racing League. I've been proud to support Rogue Energy for a very long time. They've been a long-time partner of the series, and I actually ran them as my primary livery, as my sponsor for my one-off race this season at Watkins Glen, and for very good reason. They're such a great partner of the series, and using code Castle Esports, you can save on your purchase. We'll talk more about that throughout the race, but great that they've partnered with us for so long, and that they provide an incentive to you guys just for being a Bandit Racing League fan. You can save on products from Rogue Energy. But as you can see here on the Rogue Energy website, go to rogueenergy.com, linked in the description. They also have some awesome free samples you can get of a variety of flavors you see on the right there. So for the price of nothing except possibly shipping, you can get your own sample, and you can try out the Rogue Energy products before you buy their various shakers or large tubs to mix however you like for any of your energy drink needs. So plenty of flavors, plenty of options. We are so proud to have them support not only Alan Castle, the driver of the number 33 and the sponsor of tonight's race, but the Bandit Racing League in general. And we are so excited to be back here for the second round of the Triple Header Championship. So before we get too far into tonight's race and we talk about tonight, let's do a quick race recap, not of last week's race at Charlotte, but instead of a race a few weeks before that, back in Indianapolis at the start of the Triple Crown Challenge. And thank you, as always, to Full Send Racing Networks, one of our main partners there in Perfect Shine Auto Spot, for sponsoring the pre-race recap. But here was a recap for the race at Indianapolis. It was Benjamin Lacy back in round number 7 who would take the pole. Before too long, though, his championship rival, not just that race, but the entire season, Nick Nickerson, would jump to the inside of Benny Hogan, who had a couple laps, who now has a new sponsor since then that we will talk more about tonight. But it would be Nickerson who would take the lead for most of the race, would take the lead from Benjamin Lacy with 11 laps to go at the end, and would just run away with it. You'll see there the gap at the top, and only 2 laps time, took a 2-second lead. He had one more restart at the very end to cap it off, but he would not look back. It was perhaps not to the extent of last week's race at Charlotte, a dominant Nick Nickerson victory, but man, he really put Benjamin Lacy in his place that day. And well, I think, Chris, you and I both know that is going to be one of the big talking points of not just tonight, but the entire rest of the season going into the playoffs, is that top tandem up there between Nick Nickerson and Benjamin Lacy, 2 of the very best in the series. And I think Nick definitely got a shoe up on Benjamin last week, we would say, at Charlotte.
I would say so. I think he really flexed his muscle there a little bit. He came into a track that he didn't consider himself to be very strong at, and quite frankly, absolutely dominated the night. And this being a little bit different of a track, it's a lot more abrasive than Charlotte. You're gonna have a lot of tire wear. We've already talked about in races past on how good a guy like Benjamin Lacy is with conserving his tires. So this could play into his hand tonight. We're gonna have to see how that works out, but there's a lot of other names that we're gonna get to mentioning here soon that I want to keep my eye on.
Yeah, speaking of which, Chris, as we scroll through the regular season championships, this is the overall points tally for every driver in the Bandit Racing League so far in Season 10, and this is the cutoff we really want to watch as well. So we'll scroll back up a couple spots quickly here, and just point out this gap between the 11th spot in the overall point standings and the rest of the spots around it. Remember, the top 11 and regular season points at the end of our race at Chicagoland in round 16 will make it into the 5-race chase for the championship here in Bandit Racing League's 10th season. So Brandon Jackson, Jason Greenwell, and David Lakey now sit just above that cutoff, and just below it by 1 point is last year's most improved driver and this year's first race winner of the season back at Daytona, Mr. Mark Allen Bivens. So that cutoff is getting close. That race there is going to be really interesting. And I'll throw it to you, Chris, as far as that cutoff. Are there any drivers there that you think tonight here at Homestead could really try to break away from that cutoff line that you think could be particularly good at a track like this?
So I look at a guy just above the cutoff line, Brandon Jackson. I haven't seen a poor performance from him at this racetrack ever, I don't think. He really runs really strong here, and this is the guy that I'm going to have my eye on tonight to really try to solidify his chances at a championship tonight. It's something that's kind of eluded him. He can put together good runs, but we're going to have to see how it kind of works out for him tonight. Another guy that needs to keep his nose clean tonight is Ricky Hart Jr. He's had a really good performance last week, but weeks prior he's had bad strategies, some trouble during the race, so he needs to keep that car clean, keep that nose clean tonight, and make sure he brings home a good finish. But guys on the outside looking in, Mark Allen Bivens, as we mentioned, the season opener winner, Benny Hogan, Kevin Foster, those are some really fast drivers there, and the bubble there is really, really tight. David Lakey looks like he's holding on by a point or 2, so we need some really good runs out of those guys, and we're having some quiet seasons from the likes of Jason Greenwell and Christopher Hamilton. This can all change very soon. I'd like to think that the guys pretty much from 6th on up are pretty much solidified at this point into the playoffs, but you never know. A couple bad runs, they miss a race, whatever the case may be, that turns your championship hopes upside down. So there's going to be a lot of interesting factors and a lot of little battles on track that we're going to have to keep our eyes on all night long.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely got to make sure that we're giving our due credit to not just the guys at the front of the championship, our consistent race leaders like Nick Nickerson or Benjamin Lacy, but also the guys a little bit further back who may be having very exciting little battles that can have big consequences over the course of an entire season. Here on track, we're going to watch the 11 of Benny Hogan as he comes around for his first lap here in qualifying, driver of the number 11. And we want to give a shout out to their sponsor, Rollcraft. They are a pipe and tube manufacturing company that have signed on as the sponsor for both Bill Harkins and Benny Hogan this season. Big shout out to Rollcraft. Go to rollcraft.com to find more about their services and see what they can do for your business. Here as Benny Hogan comes off the final time through turn 4. And I think, Chris, we can definitely say that Benny Hogan is, I would say, become one of the dark horse picks, or maybe a top 10 driver in the series, maybe even better. Benny's racked up some really good results lately. That first lap just did not go his way this time, but definitely a guy that I think is pretty good here at these intermediates, and this might be a track that plays well to his strengths.
Yeah, I'd say so. I've raced with Benny actually in the official racing series that we have here on iRacing. And he's really fast. You know, I've seen him in other leagues, and he can really put together some good performances. He's one of those sneaky, quiet drivers. He doesn't say much. He'll race you clean, and you just know he's always there. He's going to run up in the top 10, top 5, and he's going to contend for wins. This is a track where I think that he can do really well tonight, but he needs to keep building on those prior performances. I think he came away with a top 10 last week. He needs another one of those tonight to help chip away at this bubble and solidify his chances to run for a championship.
We just saw a really good run put down by not only Nick Nickerson, driver the number 2 there for GFR Racing, and is both his teammates, Christopher Hamilton and Kevin Foster, currently a 1-2-3-4 for GFR Racing team made up of Hart, Nickerson, Hamilton, and Foster. But it is Ricky Hart Jr. who currently takes the number 1 spot and would provisionally be the Rogue Energy Pole Award winner for tonight's race. The driver that will roll off on the front row on the inside of the line. Alan Castle, driver the number 33, of course, our representative here in the series for Rogue Energy. He's going to pull off track a pretty decent 18th place lap there, running a 34.13 second there. And there is Andrew Bedrosian coming across the second time there. That is the driver of the number 22, a guy that I know very well, and Chris as well, from my previous series back in the Winter Series. I believe he's making his 4th appearance this year. But yeah, he ran my Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series in this very channel. So a guy I'm very familiar with. I've raced against a number of times, and we'll see what he can do tonight, heading to a track in a car that maybe is not the one he's most used to. Going to take some damage off the outside of turn number 4, and that'll put the end to his second lap. Sean Britt just coming to the end of his second attempt here in qualifying. He's going to go 8th, and Benjamin Lacy right now only sitting in 9th, which still a very impressive lap. But we got to be honest, Chris, I feel like with such a high standard he's set so far this season, I feel like he might be a little bit disappointed with anything outside the top 10.
Yeah, I'd say so. You know, you always want to start up front. You have that better pit stall selection. You don't get to select, but you're also closer to the end of pit road, so you know you can make less mistakes that way, in my opinion. You know, certainly at his caliber at this point in the season, you want to be putting the whole thing together. You want to qualify well. You want to have no mistakes during the race, and you want to run up front. And this is a little bit uncharacteristic, as you had mentioned, as we see a couple other guys filter up to the top of the charts here, but. I think that this is still going to be a great race for him. I think that he'll work his way up towards the front, and I'm going to have my eyes on him tonight as maybe my race winner.
Yeah, I definitely think that the way this season has gone so far for Benjamin Lacy, I feel like the momentum has just never been too far away. He's not a kind of guy who seems to have bad races 2 weeks in a row. So, and not to say that he had a bad race last week. It's just in such a back and forth championship fight with Nick Nickerson, you really can't afford to give up a week where you lose too many points. And last week Nick just had the better of him. So here we go. Brandon Jackson going to finish up his final qualifying attempt here as we come to the final minute of our pre-race qualifying session. And he's going to come home 6th. So outside of row number 3, not a bad spot, I would say, Chris. And again, when we talk about Miami, Brandon Jackson was our winner here last season in the trucks for season number 9 to the Bandit Racing League, and in a car that I would say he's a little bit more apt at, maybe suits the skill set a little bit better. I would say Brandon's got a really, really great shot tonight to take home win number 2.
Yeah, I'd certainly say so. And for Brandon's sake, he needs a really good run. As far as his championship hopes, he needs to get further up in those points because you never know what's going to happen. He's had a very up and down season, and this is a track where I hope that Brandon can capitalize on his prior success here and put that car up front.
Well, now it is time to crown our Rogue Energy Pole Award winner for tonight on the second round of the Rogue Energy Triple Header Challenge. And, well, what a lap time here from Ricky Hart Jr. I'm genuinely blown away considering how many talented teammates he's got around him to make himself the clear number 1 there for the Rogue Energy, for the GFR Racing stable. That is quite a feat in and of itself. So Ricky Hart Jr. will be your Rogue Energy Pole Award winner. Remember, go to rogueenergy.com, as always linked in the description, not only to check out the new Rogue Energy merch, but also to go use Castle Esports to save on your purchase, courtesy of the Bandit Racing League. Just for being a fan, you guys get some pretty cool stuff. So there you go. Off on the front row is going to be the number 1 of Ricky Hart Jr., and to his outside is going to be his teammate, Mr. Nick Nickerson. But the better way to do this is to show you your starting grid for tonight's race at Miami, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. On the inside of row number 1, it is Ricky Hart Jr. rolling off alongside Nick Nickerson, last week's winner, and the winner of the first round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge. Christopher Hamilton rolls off in row number 2 for GFR Racing, as well as Kevin Foster. It's an all GFR row top 4. Don't mind the independent under Hamilton's name. Brett Guzik rounds off the end of the top 5 there alongside Brandon Jackson. Alec Daffin and Eddie Hagee make up row number 4. Tony Hilbrands rolls off alongside Benny Hogan there to round off your top 10. Then it's Sean Britt and championship contender and 4-time winner in season number 10, Benjamin Lacy. Jason Greenwell and Connor Gibson will take 13th and 14th in qualifying. Steve Ulrich and Bill Harkins will start on row number 8. Hayden Paul starts 17th. David Lakey starts in 18th. Andrew Bedrosian returns to the series tonight. He will start in 19th after that crash in qualifying. The 20th spot goes to Gary Wright. Ismael Padilla takes over the 21st spot in qualifying, just ahead of Rogue Energy representative Mr. Alan Castle. Mark Allen Bivens starts in 23rd alongside teammate for Young Gun Motorsports, Mr. Nolan Gross. Going down a little further to get us to the end of our grid, it is Hunter Henry rolling off alongside Jason Rome, the Canadian, who did not run a qualifying time. He will start in 26th. And that will bring us to the end of the grid for tonight. I'm personally darn excited, and I'm really excited to see what this guy, who the only guy to go along the inside pit runoff road there, just kind of a, maybe to get in the head of his opponents thing. He's the only guy in the top 10 to do it. Kind of a fun thing. But man, Ricky Hart Jr., this is the sort of start he needs to a race this season. We're going to talk more about it throughout the race, Chris, but definitely not maybe not the perfect week for Ricky Hart Jr. Had sort of an unfortunate real life situation that is hopefully not going to affect him too much tonight, but he's going to want to get off to a good start. He's looking for his first win of the season since joining that GFR Racing stable and the number 1 car, and he'll definitely want to pull a nose ahead of his teammate here off the first time through turns 1 and 2, I would say.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, for Ricky's sake, I think he's going to be terrible tonight. I'm sick of jinxing the guy. So I think he's gonna wreck here. He's gonna go nose first into the wall.
Perfect. Well, that is not what you like to hear if you're a Ricky Hart Jr. fan, but if you're a Bandit Racing League fan, you're ready to go, because the green flag is out for the second round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge, and the Bandit Racing League, the 1 and the 2 car, rolling off alongside each other into turn number 1, and it is Ricky Hart Jr. ahead by a nose into the braking zone, but further back, we're already 3 wide momentarily, as Brandon Jackson getting swallowed up by the field around him. He started in 6th, he's now down to 12th. Maybe that jinx worked for a different driver, because Brandon Jackson, the guy who we were talking about was going to be so quick tonight right off the bat, having some trouble here on lap 1.
Big moment for him getting into 1 and 2 there. These cars on these cold tires, it really feels like you're driving on ice on this surface here. He just got a little loose and he was chasing it. He got it saved, and kudos to all the drivers around him for not running him over. But I think Brandon will be back here. But this just goes to show you this racing surface with this tire. It makes for some really treacherous racing. You're really feeling like you're on that edge all of the time. I see Eddie Hagge lose it a little bit there.
Yeah, we do indeed. Eddie Hagge, driver the number 97, who started up there in 8th just a lap ago, now down to 16th, is up front. Already some movement. Way up to the high side goes the 1 of Ricky Hart, and way to the bottom goes his teammate, Nick Nickerson, as we cross the line for the start of lap number 3 here. Already taking the lead tonight, getting that momentum off to a good start, and Ricky Hart Jr. may have led the first lap. He will not lead the second. Now it's all about getting dialed in here, Chris, and I would say just keeping the pressure on. I know they're teammates, but if you're Ricky Hart, the last thing you want after last week at Charlotte is to see the number 2 car just pulling away from the rest of the field.
I think that tonight is going to be a little bit of a different story. There's multi different lanes that you can use here, as you see Nick running right against that wall. It's such a razor's edge, and it's kind of like Darlington, another unique track that we go to, where you're running right against the wall. There's so much speed up there because you can carry so much momentum, and you're not scrubbing the tires nearly as much, in my opinion. When you go down low, you can really drive it in real deep. You're going to hurt your exit a little bit, but sometimes you can make a little bit more grip.
Whoa!
But I think
contact, Alec Daffin into Hilbrands and Foster. Tony Hilbrands has gone around. The caution may come out momentarily. We are still green, and the 92 car comes to a halt, but the yellow flag does come out. We go to a 3 wide there off turn number 2, and a caution is what follows. Sorry about that, Chris. Just huge incident there off of turn number 2 with some pretty big name drivers involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even catch that one, so good catch there. Big damage to the 92 car. He's smoking, trying to get to pit road now, but man, yeah, that just kind of speaks to the surface right now. We already alluded to that earlier in the broadcast, that it's like driving on ice right now. These cars need the temperature in the tires to start handling a little bit better, and yeah, that's a tough one for Tony. That's a tough break, but hopefully he can use his fast repair and get back in this thing.
Let's go to your full send racing replay, courtesy of Apex Sim Racing. There is Tony Hilbrands off of turn number 2, just gets tagged in the inside of a 3 wide. Gonna want to go back to that with the chopper camera there, just to get a little bit more perspective on how that got started. So Daffin in the middle, Hilbrands kind of slides up, and again, it's one of those incidents. I hate to call things racing incidents, because I think that's just a term people use when they don't want to assign blame to the person whose fault it was. But that was, I think, kind of just a scenario of the 2 guys on the outside pinching down on Daffin in the middle. I don't think Alec really could have gone anywhere. I don't think it was in Tony's, best interest to stay all too much lower. So just kind of an unfortunate scenario. And I would say, Chris, this early in the race, probably somewhat of a product of cold tires and maybe guys getting a little bit jittery trying to move forward while the field is nice and packed up.
Yeah, I'd say so. It looked like Tony's car was washing up a little bit there, and there's just not enough room. I don't know if he knew that he was 3 wide or what he was being told from his in-game spotter, but that is a tough situation. That's a tough break for Tony. I don't think that Kevin has much damage or that 48 car has much damage, so I think they'll carry on with some minimal repairs, but tough break for Tony. He's had a string of bad luck here, but we'll see if he can turn it around later in the race.
Well, I think, we got some time here. We'll see if he goes down pit road, because if he does not, we're going to go to him here for an interview. Let's talk to Brandon Jackson here for just a second. I know it's early in the race, but it's always good to get a driver's perspective, and what better guy than a guy who's been very quick here in the past, that being the driver of the number 99 car. Let's pull him up here in the broadcast booth. Just got to find the guy. Of course, he hides in the furthest down channel in our chat. Here we go. Brandon Jackson, driver of the number 99. Hey, Brandon, it's Marshall and Chris up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy for a sec?
Oh, hi. Hello.
Hello, Brandon. Sorry, we're making it a little early on you tonight. We know there's going to be a lot of action. We never know how many cautions there are going to be after last week. So we just want to check in with the Homestead-Miami man himself. Brandon, this is a track that has suited you very well in the past, and I know maybe not off to the start you were hoping for tonight, but do you think that momentum's going to turn around for you? Could we see win number 2 tonight?
Man, I hope so. I don't know what happened in turn 1. I guess I tripped over my own ankles going into turn 1. I don't know what happened. But we're good. We saved it somehow. I had a lot of wheel put into that car to keep from wrecking, but I hope so, man. I love this place. The car's really tight. Like, it's bad. But we got to work with it. So I don't know, try to figure it out. But now that we kind of like re-racked the field, I hope I can do something. Maybe the long run can come back in, and that's kind of where I shine here. So hell, I don't know. Let's see what happens. I almost wrecked anyway, so let's just go for it.
Well, that's all we can do here in this league. We'll let you get back to your thing, but Brandon, best of luck, and we always love talking to you, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again before the night's done.
Later.
Always a pleasure here talking to Brandon Jackson. He's getting ready to go. He's always fired up there, and yeah, rolling off, still on the 4th row. Don't act like he's too much further back than he was. He recovered really well there after that initial little incident there in turn 1 he was talking about, but now the field goes in control of Nick Nickerson, driver of the number 2 car. It's the same front row we saw earlier, just flipped around Nick, the control car, and Ricky to his outside. We're waiting, and he is off. Ricky Hart Jr. rolls off on the outside of Nick Nickerson, who gets a massive jump here on the first restart of the night, and the 1 car already blocking down to turn number 1.
Yeah, one guy I want to keep my eye on tonight. I was going to allude to this earlier in the broadcast, but that 04 car. He was really disappointed in himself in that run that he had last week at Charlotte. He thought he could have done better. I thought he could have did better. But his birthday's coming up on the 23rd. Happy early birthday to him, but I'm expecting a good run out of him tonight. He put in a lot of practice laps, and he loves that top lane. We're going to see how that works for him.
We will indeed. Watch him trying to track down the 2 guys in front of him there, Nick and Ricky, as he comes off turn number 4. It's been a good run so far, I would say, generally speaking, for Brett Guzik tonight. He's up 2 spots from the start of the race, already picked off 2 of the GFR Racing teammates, looking to make it 3 here momentarily. But again, the question is kind of what Brandon Jackson alluded to there, is the long run or the short run more of a priority? And I think many, for a long time, would maybe consider Brandon slightly more of a short run guy, but I feel like maybe that, impression has somewhat changed over the years, or certainly as he's lasted longer in the series, become more of a veteran. I think Brandon's one of those guys I think of that is really well-rounded, so perhaps not. We will see. Sorry, just have to quickly jump away for a second. We're just having some minor camera difficulties here in just a moment.
As Marshall fixes his camera, we're going to see here, I don't know if we have the camera on him, but we have the 99 car making a move to the inside of the 15, but he has the 48 car right there in front of him on his bumper. He's going to clear the 15, but another car that's starting to make some moves. Oh, we have some contact between the 15 and the 99, so that 99 car is having a heck of a race up until this point, but another car that's starting to maybe put some pressure on is that 04 of Guzik. He's closing in on that 1 car ever so slightly and see if he can make some moves here.
Yeah, we are back there. I got to watch that little battle there for a moment between Jackson and those around him. Now it's Hamilton, Christopher Hamilton, peeking by on the inside of the line, looking to get back in the top 5 after starting up in 3rd. Brandon Jackson really squeezing him there down to the bottom. putting the car right dead center, almost in the lower mid portion of that track. And here comes Hamilton, though. 15 car getting a good head of steam, and he is going to take the spot back. So it's going to remain 3 GFR Racing drivers in the top 5. Kevin Foster, the only driver now who has fallen outside of it, and he's just sitting there a couple car lengths back there, sitting comfortably in 7th.
Another guy that we haven't given much love to lately, rather pompous fellow. Jason Greenwell, he's running an 8th tonight. He's sitting right on that bubble, but I'm thinking he's going to have a really good run tonight. I hope I'm not jinxing the guy because he's been putting in a lot of work lately, and he's a really likable guy. I really hope that he can continue this momentum that we already see him as he's starting to close in on the 8 car of Kevin Foster. But, yeah, hopefully he can keep this car up front all night and maybe have an interview with him later on. Yeah,
it'd be great to get a chance to talk to Jason. We haven't heard from him in quite a while. You're right, the pompous man himself after that infamous moment. I believe at Daytona Road Course a number of seasons back. I think that was season 8. Man, how time flies in this series. But right now, fun little battle here between 2 guys I don't think I've seen interact all season. Sean Britt, driver the number 98, is running very well in the early stages tonight at Homestead. Is tracking down Benjamin Lacy, was putting the pressure on there for a moment as Lacy continues to work his way through the field. He started back there in 12th. Has now made his way all the way up to 9th. Somebody further back in the field is getting a little bit loose. Who is that going around? Just saved it. Beautiful save from whoever that was. Trying to get far back enough to find him. That was Gary Wright there. What a moment there for Gary Wright. Got really loose there off the exit of turn number 4 in the background there, but did manage to save it. So the Vroom number 6 car gets it under him and continues on. Great piece of driving there from Gary Wright.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy that we're starting to see creep back into the picture here, currently sitting in 12th, 13th, depends how this battle works out, is Tony Hilbrands. He's rebounded pretty well. I know he had to probably use his fast repair with how much smoke he had coming from that car, but good to see him starting to charge back up to the front. I don't know if he had to slap on some tires. That would have been kind of early to do that, but good to see him charging up here towards the front. Different story than we had last week, right? Nick Nickerson's out front, but the advantage isn't 10, 12 seconds. Ricky Hart's keeping him right in tow. This is a guy that we said if maybe a caution had come out, he could have battled for that lead. And, Ricky's able to see him right off the nose of his car there. So we'll see how that shapes up as we continue on here.
Yeah, I think Ricky definitely has something to prove there for that GFR Racing team. I mean, there's no doubt that Christopher Hamilton, being one of the newer drivers in the series in general, definitely the very same for him. But he's racked up his fair share of podiums. He's had some great top 5 results this season. Kevin Foster, of course, a 2-time champion. So Ricky Hart, former champion of the series, he definitely wants to prove that was by no means a fluke and that the success he's had in the past is definitely replicable. And he's had a great year, including a podium very last week at Charlotte. But really, I think beating the last 2 series champions in Nick Nickerson and Brett Kuzik, in fact, the last 3 champions of the Bandit Racing League are currently 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So if you're new to the series, well, here's a pretty good crash course on the guys that have historically been very fast here. But yeah, I think Ricky could really get it dialed in tonight. And if we see that pace you're talking about, Chris, that we saw at the end of Charlotte where, yeah, maybe one more caution, that would have been a real scrap to the finish there between 2 teammates. Tonight he might get that opportunity, but first he's going to need to keep that gap small. And right now, the smallest gap in the top 5 is Alec Daffin and Brandon Jackson. Jackson looking to the inside there, peaked for just a moment. I almost thought there was going to be a little bit of contact, but the 48 car holds on to it for the time being.
You're starting to see a little bit closer battle there, but yeah, like you were saying, Ricky he's a great competitor, and I think that he kind of joined alliances there with GFR Racing when we started doing this team dynamic here at Bandit Racing League that I personally really love. But I think that as far as GFR Racing goes, all 4 of those drivers, they could run 1, 2, 3, 4 every single week, rearrange the order. All those guys have the ability to run up front and stay close to the top of the leaderboard at any given racetrack. And as we see the 04 car starting to close in on this 1 car, another guy that I do want to mention that's in the midst of a championship battle as he goes around the 8 car of Kevin Foster is Benjamin Lacy. We talked about it earlier in the broadcast. He started a little bit further back than you'd think a championship contender would, but he's starting to make his way towards the front. He's really making that bottom work really well, and I think that in short time here we're going to start seeing him approach that top 5.
I think you're absolutely right. I think in the short term, the battle we got to watch is Daffin and Jackson. Brandon Jackson, there was the move right down the inside of the 48 car, down into the turn 3 braking zone. So Jackson back into the top 4 now, really making some progress there. So the only driver in the top 5 who has lost any spots since the start of the race is your former Rogue Energy Pull Award winner, Mr. Ricky Hart Jr., who has not fallen back too far. He currently sits there in 3rd. So Jackson and Daffin there are both very different lines. You'll notice Daffin all the way to the high side, Jackson there on the low side. Brandon's a guy who's historically loved the bottom line, and tonight it's going to be his primary strategy. But Brett Guzik does get that move done there, as we saw into the turn 1 braking zone. So Brett Guzik there getting ahead of Ricky Hart Jr., and that gap has not been smaller to this point in the race than it is right now. Nick Nickerson is getting reeled in a little bit despite the battle and swap for position between Hart and Guzik.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that myself. You know, while they were passing each other on track, they are closing that gap, and I really like how Brett is approaching 1 and 2. He's really riding that wall, and we can see it here. I don't know if you quite will, but the amount of momentum that Brett carries down this backstretch into turn 3 and 4 is incredible. He's gapping Ricky there about 2 to 3 cars, and if he can keep that up and make sure the car is still hooking up the way he wants, you know, that's going to play right into his favor. Ricky's going to need to search for a different way around the track. I think that this race, as it goes on, it's going to work closer and closer to the top. I don't know if we have cautions, if it won't work out that way, but man, Brett is really making that top and 1 and 2 work really well right now.
Yeah, 125 lap race tonight. We're still very early on, so the track is going to change. It's going to warp, and I think definitely certain guys' strategies will get more applicable as the race goes on. Whereas, yeah, some of the low line guys might need to start to adapt, might need to start to kind of try things out. Maybe that's what Nick's doing. I know he's a guy that puts in a ton of practice week to week, but could be a chance that maybe he's trying to assess things and see if he goes to that top line, what effect it has on the draft of guys behind him, because you can put in whatever practice you want through the week just on your own in test sessions, but until you're here with the other cars on the track, it can sometimes be tough to judge what it's like in a pack, and that's what I'd imagine Nick is probably preparing for. As Benjamin Lacy gets another couple cars and might get back to Christopher Hamilton here in just a moment to get back in the top 5, a position he has not been so far tonight after starting in 12th. Now down to the inside, the 7 to the 15. Locked in by about half a car length.
I mean, we were just talking about it, right? This guy's quick, and listen, we're on lap 23 now. Tires are going to start to hurt. It's 24 now, but tires are going to start to hurt as we see. Wow, really close into the turns 1 and 2 there for Hamilton and Lacy, but tires are going to start hurting, and these drivers are going to be screaming, I need a yellow, I need a yellow. So another guy that's starting to make his way back up here, Tony Hilbrand's Benjamin Lacy's teammate. So I don't know. This 7 car is looking really fast, and if I'm looking at my telemetry, I'm going to be like, oh man, not this guy again.
Yeah, we're starting to see some backwards sort of momentum going on here for the guy that he just passed a moment ago, did Benjamin Lacy. Mr. Alec Daffin, driver the number 48, started up there in 7th. It really worked his way through there in the early stages up into 4th, and since then, though, it's just been falling back. I wonder if maybe he used his stuff up a little bit too quick, a little bit too early, and now it's kind of fallen back to where he would about be expected with his pace tonight, as Tony Hilbrand's right to the quarter panel. Got it really close there. We'll tuck in behind again down the backstretch, but the 92 car not leaving any room for error, not leaving any breathing room there, and now he goes down the inside. So Tony Hilbrand's going to pick up another spot here as he continues to charge forward. Started in 9th, now sits in 7th.
Don't look now. That 04 car is 2/10 off of Nick Nickerson. He's gonna have a heck of a run coming out of 1 and 2 here. We're gonna see what he can do with it into 3 and 4. But he is. I think that Nick is searching around, trying to find another line, go where Brett's not, try to take the air away from Brett. But look at that run that Brett just had into 3 and 4. Wow.
Yeah, incredible. The momentum that, as you said a little bit earlier, that Brett is carrying through the corners there, and just it's working. He's got the top line nailed down to a T. And it's going to be a question of, okay, how does Nick defend that? Because, again, he's probably, I would not assume this will be the last time we see Nick up front. He's always good in the pits. Those intangibles I talk about every week, the stuff like pit ins, pit outs, time in your pit box. Nick is great at that. So often he finds a way to work his way back to the lead. So it's almost like Nick gets a couple different auditions, a couple different attempts there as far as his defensive strategy. So I'm curious to see what Nick does to address the speed Brett has in the top line. Maybe he goes up there himself and starts kind of blocking the lane off, putting him in the dirty air near the wall, and whatever it is, I think it's still Nick's race in control. But as Brett pulls away by about a full second of Ricky Hart Jr., I think Brett's the guy to watch tonight as potentially the guy that could pick up a second win of the season. A tally that I would say, Chris, seems for how consistently quick Brett is, especially as a former champion, to only have it be his second win is kind of surprising at this point in the year.
Yeah, I'd say so myself. I mean, look, the guy has really tough breaks, and he said it himself. He kind of analyzes his pitch strategy sometimes. Sorry, a little bit of a brain fart there, but he over analyzes his pitch strategy sometimes, and he beats himself, and I think that he's starting to clean that up, and kind of just take what the race is giving him, and I think that's starting to pay dividends for him. I think that at the beginning of this run, if you looked at Nick Nickerson, he was running the top in 3 and 4. Now he's consistently staying at the bottom. I think that he knows it's only a matter of time as we see Brett really close the gap there. So we're going to see how this all works out going forward, but I think that it's only a matter of time before Brett gets by him.
And here comes Guzik. This might be his opportunity. They're going to get a great run here down the front stretch off of turn number 4. Nick, a little bit of a bobble there, trying to get the car as far to the outside wall as he can to block it off. He goes to the bottom. Brett goes to the top. Could this be the shot down here into turn number 3? Or we'll see if the 04 can go all the way around, get to the quarter panel. I don't think he can, but here comes the run. This is a great view of it as he comes down the backstretch. The 04 going to try to chase him down there. Peeks to the inside. Is there going to be any resistance? There is, side by side. The 2-car not giving up. Now he's going to go to the top side. So we'll see definitively, is it the driver or is it the line that's better? Must be the driver, because Brett Guzik will clear Nick Nickerson off of turn number 4, but the 2-car going to fight him back. Not going to give the lead up easy. The 04 car leads the lap, but Nick is looking for redemption coming into turn number 1 and 2.
What a crossover by the 2-car there. I think that Brett's going to be able to get by him here. Coming out of 2, it's going to be close. And Nick just says, you know what, I'll get you back later. See if we can keep this thing tight for right now. I think Nick's just going to settle in and ride. He knows that Brett's faster. He's really making that top work, but he's not letting him go quite yet as we see Brandon Jackson start to come into the picture here.
Yeah, I was about to say, he just got by Ricky Hart Jr. a couple laps ago to take over possession of 3rd place, and here comes, don't look now, but Benjamin Lacy is back there in 5th. He's about to try to take the spot on Ricky Hart Jr., but the best seat in the house here for this battle might be behind the cockpit of the 99 car. As again, down to the bottom goes Nick, up to the top goes Brett, and not too far in the background is Ricky and Benjamin. So now suddenly the gap to the leader becomes about 1.5 seconds between the top 5 and Christopher Hamilton, teammate of GFR Racing, who started up in 3rd. He's not too far back either, so a lot of pace and a lot of talent up there at the front of this field, as again we're side by side for the lead off of turn number 4.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Nick is kind of putting up a fight this early. I know that's just the competitive side of him, but sometimes you just kind of want to settle in, maybe see what he's doing as we see. Whoa, some contact.
Nick into the back bumper. That is uncharacteristic. Here comes Brandon Jackson. We're 3 wide out of nowhere off of turn number 2. And the 99 car will take the lead here at Homestead-Miami. What a comeback after those early struggles there at the beginning there under that 1st and 2nd lap. Man, he has turned it around here. Brandon Jackson, we talked to a moment ago, capitalized on that incident. And here comes Benjamin Lacy. Don't look now, but that battle for the championship. Now the 2 championship contenders, at least the 2 guys with 9 combined wins on the season. They're side by side with Brett Guzik, 2nd in the points, right in front of them.
Wow, that was crazy. If I'm the 04 car, I'm taking some notes on that one, and I'm gonna remember that one for a little while. But I think that Brett just wanted to take his line away, and Nick wasn't expecting that. He was just driving his line and wasn't anticipating Brett, slowing up that much in the corner. But this has really changed things up, huh? We have the seas parted for Brandon Jackson, and all of a sudden he's sitting here in the catbird seat after almost spinning it on lap 1, and we really shuffled up to the top 5 here, and this is getting really interesting. We're all put him under a blanket.
Well, yeah, just what an order up here in the top 5 all of a sudden. Now Brandon Jackson takes over the race lead relatively out of nowhere. Brett Guzik there in 2nd, Benjamin Lacy in 3rd. Nick Nickerson's falling back to 5th behind his teammate there. And Christopher Hamilton, again, he's getting into the picture as well. The 15 car not too far behind. So what a turnaround here. This has been a great start to tonight's race. And now 36 laps, but to be 37 down out of 35, but to be 36 down out of 125. Making our way through, getting to the 1/3 of the stage, 1/3 of the way through the race portion, and the 2 cars coming down pit road, first pit stop. That's uncharacteristic for Nick. Gotta wonder, maybe a little bit of damage there after that contact, maybe to that front nose.
Certainly could have been. I know these guys up front running this pace, their fuel window's gonna be lap 37-ish. So maybe he's just trying to do the undercut. Maybe he did have some damage from that contact there with the 04, but you're going to start to see these leaders come down pit road here and slap on some fresh rubber, because I know that they're probably screaming for it.
Watching the battle here for 2nd, and a battle that's just about to end as Brett Guzik, makes a mistake on pit road, comes in with too much speed, locks it up, and has to abort. So good decision there from Brett, as you see, does not decide to risk it, doesn't want to hit the pit cones or make contact with that pit wall, but man, that's going to lose him easily somewhere in the ballpark of 4 to 5 seconds there, and that little bit of a mistake, and Benjamin Lacy will get a free spot as a result. So Now up front, Brandon Jackson and Benjamin Lacy, two guys that have just capitalized on mistakes around them. But that is brutal. That's what we talk about when we talk about intangibles, Chris. And unfortunately, to start tonight, Brett just did not exemplify that in that moment.
Yeah, that's really a tough break. At this track here, you can actually cut through turns 3 and 4. But if you're really trying to get aggressive, getting onto pit road here, you're going to want to get it off the exit of 4. And it's just so hard to get the car down there, just based on the camber in the car and how much the banking is. And it's just kind of upsetting the car as you're trying to get to the brakes, and you're just trying to keep her straight, and you don't want to get a pit road speeding penalty, as we see Alec Daffin kind of overshoot his box there a little bit. But I think the 04 car will be back. I think that he minimalized the damage the best he could, and see how he can rebound from this.
Yeah, Alec Daffin and Brett Guzik both on pit road. Brett did make it down on the second attempt. Jason Greenwald just leaving his box now, but here comes Brandon Jackson along with the rest of the leaders. So that line going to start to funnel in now. That is Jackson, Lacy, Hart, Hamilton, Foster, and Benny Hogan, I should say, is Steve Orr going to stay out. He will take the second position as Tony Hilbrands is going to lead this lap here as the 92 car, the last driver here on the lead lap to stay out. So Jackson versus Hart versus Hamilton. Going to be a fun little battle off pit road here. We'll stay on pit exit as Andrew Bedrosian, who is currently sitting a lap down, going to exit the pits. So here we go. The battle off pit road. We'll see if how these guys factor out compared to the guys who pitted a lap earlier. Those fresher tires might help them out there on lap pace. So here we go. Jackson, Lacy, Hart, Hamilton. There goes Foster. There goes Benny Hogan. There are your 6 leaders who came down pit road that time by. So it's going to be Nickerson, though, passing Brandon Jackson here despite his earlier issues, despite all that chaos there a moment ago. We talk about he's always quick on pit entry and pit exit, and he is now 5 seconds clear of Brandon Jackson. I know he pitted earlier, but I don't even know if 3 laps will make that all up. I think that was just a really good pit in, pit out attempt for Nick Nickerson, and he just ran the fastest lap of the race, the number 2 car. He is on rails right now in this second stint.
Yeah, I'd certainly say so. I think it's a combination of the both, right? He got the fresher tires. The pace had fallen off about 2 seconds a lap there towards the end, so you're gaining so much time just on those fresher tires. You run the gamble, as you saw, Brett Guzik almost wrecked getting onto pit road, so you run that risk of possibly going a lap down in that process. But Nick, being the calculated driver that he is, he's able to bring it down pit road, and now he's going to stretch out this lead a little bit. And shades of last week, right? He was able to keep growing his lead ever so much through the pit cycles. So we'll see how he can continue to hold this lead as he faded towards the end of that last run.
Just checking in right now with the current race leader, driver the number 92, Tony Hilbrands. He's actually got a great view of this fun little battle here for, well, I wouldn't even say fun little. It's a battle currently for 7th, which, may sound a little bit less impactful than it is, but these are 3 guys that could very well be race-winning contenders. Ricky Hart, who was tonight's pole sitter, Brett Guzik, who was leading here just a moment ago before that mistake trying to get into his pit stall there off of turn number 4. Now Alec Daffin there, still involved in this pack as well. He's had pace tonight, so Tony Hilbrand's finally coming down pit road, gets a little bit loose, actually almost spins it. The second driver we've seen pitting from the top 5, and actually from the lead, that has almost gone around. So he is going to make it in. He's finally going to get into his box here in just a moment, and he pitted on lap 6. So that should tell you about 37 laps is what you want to run here tonight on a tank of gas to make it optimally into your pit box. So now it's Nick Nickerson going to take the lead back over here. So I think things are looking positive once again. This is what I talk about. He always finds a way back there, but Brandon Jackson had those 3 extra pit laps. That's going to be crucial there by the end. Should be a little bit faster the entire stint. So this is where it gets crucial for Brandon Jackson here, Chris, is just, okay, so you should have the better tires. You should be better at this track if you're anything like earlier. Now you just got to execute and get it done.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's frustrating, right? You get the lead off of that exchange between the 0-4 and the 2, and you're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm in control of this race now. And then pit strategy works out, and you do your pit stops and do the best you can, and you come out and you're it looks like going to be about 5 seconds behind Nick, 4.5 seconds behind Nick at the time. So that's frustrating to me if I'm sitting there in the car. And if I'm that 0-4 car, you just compounded mistakes, right? You had the little incident with Nick. You're able to brush it off. You get yourself back together, and then you make a mistake coming on pit road. And he's going to be kicking himself for that, but I think that he'll be back, as we saw how much speed he had towards the end of that run. I think he'll be able to chip away at that over this long race here.
It is important to note that there's a little bit of back-end damage we just saw here on the broadcast to the 04 car, Brett Guzik, and you got to wonder if there's going to be any long-term effects there from that contact with Nick. Remember, Nick just running right through the back of that car Again, not intentionally there, but up in one of the turns there, making that contact that almost put Brett around. Did a great job to save it. But yeah, definitely you can see some back quarter panel damage to the right rear for him. And as Ricky Hart Jr. chases him down, when the pole sitter's behind you, the last thing you want is to also have car damage. So this could be relatively easy for Ricky Hart Jr. But again, he is the defending series champion for a reason. And I don't think Brett's going to make it easy on him.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Brett is probably seeing blood in the water here. He's probably a little upset about that, but he's going to be back, and it's just about concentrating, hitting your marks, getting your laps, and you'll get back there. You never know if we get a caution later in this race. And as I say that,
oh, wow.
we get a yellow. What timing?
Perfect timing. That is what we talk about when we talk about broadcast jinxes. So Jason Rome showing a considerable amount of damage there, driver the number 81 KTM car. Let's go back to your full send racing replay here, presented by Apex Sim Racing. See what happened to him and David Lakey, driver the number 84 car here, heading into turn 3. Whoa! Okay. That was a hard flick right on the steering wheel. We're going to go on board here first with David Lakey just to get a better perspective on what happened there, just before I start making any assumptions. But he just threw it right into him. Gotta wonder if there was some sort of like previous incident, some sort of catalyst for that. But whatever it was, just a massive wreck between two guys that were sitting in a decent spot here tonight, but definitely did not need to get involved in something like that.
Yeah, that's certainly a tough one to judge. I'd love to see the in-car of Lakey's car there. Oh, I'm getting it now. But yeah, that's a tough one to judge. I don't know if he just misjudged him being to the outside and he was trying to sneak up behind him right before they enter the corner so he can turn down. That's an odd one. I'm sure that one will be reviewed, but you know, that's a tough break for both those guys. You know, they were both you know, up here contending, and David needed a good run for his championship hopes, and hopefully he could rebound from that. And we'll kind of see how that works out. But what a break for Brett Guzik here. Restack them, catch your breath, put your mistakes behind you, and carry on here. But he just got the break that he needed to put himself back up there with Nickerson, and I don't think he's going to be doing him any favors later on in this race.
Number of drivers here coming down pit road as we speak. A number of leaders who just pitted a couple laps before this. Ricky Hart Jr. on pit road. Here goes Brandon Jackson leaving his box. Guzik leaving his box. And also involved Christopher Hamilton, Jason Greenwell, Alec Daffin, Haggy, Hillbrands, Bibbins, Britt, Hogan, Gibson, Ulrich, Padilla, Gross, and Rome, who we saw involved in that incident just a moment ago, all of whom have come down pit road. So not bad. All but the top 5 are going to come down pit road this time. So Brandon Jackson not going to sit here in 6th, Chris. He's going to be on fresh tires, presumably, and he's going to be in the most favorable pit spot of anybody now, a 12-lap advantage on pit stop to Nick Nickerson. So might not be a bad strategic call there for that much track position.
Yeah, that is an interesting call. I don't know if this was more of a fuel play. I don't know. I didn't do the calculations to see if, you know, that would play a factor here, is the fuel mileage, but that is an interesting call. I don't know if they would necessarily come in for tires. It is a smart play there, because we already saw the pace starting to fall off on that 2 car, but we're going to kind of see how that plays out. I mean, if they did take tires, the 2 car is going to have an extra set in the pits. They're going to have to go a little bit longer, but now these guys can go presumably 10 laps longer than Nick can. There's a lot of funky things going on here, but this is why I love being in the broadcast booth, because I don't have to think about this stuff.
Exactly. We just have to try to figure out why it's happening. We don't have to be the ones to know, because it doesn't affect our race. So it's going to be Nickerson, Lacy, Foster, Hunter, Henry, and Brandon Jackson now, as Gary Wright in front of Jackson will come down pit road. So that'll be your top 5 here in just a moment on the 3rd restart of the day. But before we get to that, we got a couple things we want to talk about. First of all, our Bandit Racing League website. Well, we like to talk about it here from time to time and check in on it, see if there's any new cool things. And, well, first of all, on the front page, you'll always see a countdown to the very next Bandit Racing League race here on the Full Send Racing Network. But aside from that, you can see information about every driver in the series. You saw there the championship standings, courtesy of Sim Racer Hub, so it takes you directly to that with that link. The driver stats gives you a little bit more info about everybody, and here on the schedule you see what race is coming up each and every week, as well as what winner or what driver won each of the last previous races of the Season 10 calendar. Other than that, you then get the link to Apex Sim Racing, big partner of the series, and then you get the link to our Bandit Racing League merch. And we talk about the merch all the time, courtesy of GeezerAuthentics.com, our Bandit Racing League merch partner here, courtesy of Bill Harkins, our series founder. A variety of cool stuff there, mugs, drinkware, shirts, pants, hoodies, anything you can imagine for a variety of specific drivers, as well as the Bandit Racing League in general. But we've also got some new merch here, some Benny Hogan merch, courtesy of Rollcraft, one of the new sponsors to that team made up of the 11 and the number 5 car. So really cool to see that Rollcraft getting involved in the series here. And just again, to show you another one of their great off-ring series, you see this, well, black t-shirt. But again, what's beautiful about GeezerAuthentics.com and the partner we use to do our site is you can do a number of colors in the exact same t-shirt. So you get your pick. You get to pick your size, as you see there on the drop-down, and you get to pick your color. So let's say I want this blue Rollcraft t-shirt. You get not only the Rollcraft logo on the front, but you get the driver of the number 11, Mr. Benny Hogan, there on the back. So Rollcraft Racing Team represented by both the 11 and the 5 car on this t-shirt, and just the 11 of Benny Hogan on the other. Well, it's been a good year so far for both drivers, but Benny Hogan in particular has really stood out there since moving over to the number 11 car from the number 5. Not a bad season whatsoever for him. So go get some new merch there. Go check out anything for your favorite driver. Young Guns Racing, GFR Racing, a couple individuals like Cody Welch, as well as some general Bandit Racing League merchandise. So you can always stay stocked and make sure that you're repping the series. If you're tuning in each and every week here on Wednesday, we hope there's something for you you'll enjoy. And again, one more time, RogueEnergy.com. We want to give a shout out to their website. Always plenty of just great product there, whether it be, fruity flavors for the summer months or something like cookies and cream there. As you see these little shake packets, you can shake into water, milk, or whatever your mix of choice is, and use it as a post-workout or just any sort of energy drink related pick-me-up. So there you go. Some great product there, courtesy of RogueEnergy.com. And again, we want to thank them for sponsoring the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge tonight, of which being the second race. And we'll talk a little bit later on in the broadcast about what the points look like coming into tonight. But really what you need to know is Nick is the guy to beat. He's the guy to look out for. And pretty much everybody currently sitting in the top 10 is a contender there based on the previous race in this triple headers final results.
One thing I do want to shout out is the ever so wonderful Evan Wall from evanwallmedia.com. He gave us the intel that there was no tires for Jackson, and he thinks the same for the 04 of Guzik. So, I think that was more of a strategy for fuel. That is some good knowledge to have up here in the booth to see how that all plays out. But another interesting thing that I just picked up on is the 2 and the 8 stayed out, and the 1 and the 15 came in. So I wonder if that was kind of a strategy call to make sure someone on the team is covered.
Yeah, very good point here as we go green. Nickerson and Lacy, the 2 championship rivals, on the front row here as we come across the start-finish line here at Homestead-Miami. Yeah, maybe some diversification there for the GFR Racing guys. We see Hunter Henry there peeking at the top side on the number 99 of Brandon Jackson. He does not have new tires, so this is just an even, flat-out battle between the two, and for the time being, it's going to be a caution right off the bat. Didn't really get much of a chance to get settled in there as Gary Wright is going to bring out caution number, I believe, 4 on the day, or maybe might be 3. It is number 3. So caution number 3, courtesy of Gary Wright Jr. Let's go to your Apex Sim Racing replay and find out what brought out this particular caution. As we see the driver, the number 6 there on the restart, Andrew Bedrosian, the 22 right behind him. Same with Bill Harkins, the number 5. Just absolutely walloped through them by Andrew Bedrosian there. Just kind of an awkward angle they took there off of turn number 2 down the front stretch. Sorry, off turn number 4 down the front stretch. Let's find a bit of a wider angle. So good start for the 22, just trying to find a gap that was not there. Bounced into the 5, bounced into the 8, and the 6, and suddenly Gary Wright and both him and Bill Harkins find themselves on the wrong side of that incident. Once again, unfortunately, David Lakey, who was already involved in a wreck earlier in the race, gets tagged in that one once again.
As we have a second here, I just want to quickly get involved with the chat. I know we have a couple people in here. Just want to see, what are you guys thinking so far? Who do you guys have winning this race? You have the 2 running up front a lot. Had that little contact with the 04. 04 looks strong. 7 car looks strong. I don't know about you guys. What are you guys thinking tonight? I think my pick is going to be that 04 car. I think he's coming for blood, and I'd really want to see what happens when he gets to the back bumper of that 2 car.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really interesting pick, especially the race he's had so far. Brett's got something to prove, and he's got something to get redemption for. Shout out to Cody Welch here, who's joining us in the YouTube side of things, and then in the YouTube chat, driving the number 85, and a guy who's been very near and dear to our hearts for a very long time, and one of the best to ever do it in the Bandit Racing League. And yeah, I think Brett's a great pick. I'm trying to think where my bets would lie as we speak right now. I get the feeling maybe commentator's jinx style, knock on wood for him, but something just tells me this isn't a Nick Nickerson sort of night. After that early chaos, this doesn't seem like the type of race Nick tends to win, though he tends to win every type of race because he's Nick Nickerson. But I don't know, something about tonight is just telling me might be better to place your bets somewhere else. I'm going to stick with him. I think the pace was there on that second run. I think he was starting to prove exactly why we consider him so good at this track. I think Brandon Jackson's the guy to beat. He capitalized really well there on the chaos up front. I think there's going to be more chaos before this race is over. Give me the 99 car to take home the win tonight and pick up his second win of the year and further facilitate himself into the Bandit Racing League Season 10 playoffs, where I think he is going to be really quick. So there you go. There is our 2 picks here on the broadcast side of things. But yeah, to you guys in the chat, who do you think is going to pick up the win tonight, or do you have any bold predictions in any other facet of tonight's race? Just going to be a really fun one, and it's exciting to see you guys with your different perspectives, maybe different fan favorite drivers, and which way you think tonight's race is going to go from your side of things. So we'll leave it to you guys here. But the lights on the pace car are off, so we should be getting ready to go here in just a moment. Note, they are still on, so we're going to go around one more time here, and then we should be good to go here in just a lap's time. Actually, while we have a moment, why not? Let's pull somebody in the broadcast booth here, and who better than the current race leader, Mr. Nick Nickerson. Let's pull him in. Hey, Nick, Chris and Marshall up at the broadcast booth here on Full Send. You got a copy? Hey, Nick, Marshall, and Chris up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
How's it going?
Hey, Nick, sorry about that. We're just get a quick chance to check in with you here. I know you and your teammate Kevin Foster are going to be on the front row here for the restart. Don't want to take away from your team coordination too much here, but really interesting race here in the first 55 laps, just before the halfway point here at Homestead. That crazy battle up front between you and Brett early on resulted in a little bit of contact and Brandon getting by. Just what happened there from your perspective, and how can you kind of learn from it going forward?
Yeah, I have to apologize to Brett about that. It's just that my tires are so old, and I've been running that inside line, and I was loose going in, and then he came down in front of me. Even though he kind of like lazily came down in front of me, I just couldn't woe it up, and I had to jab on the brakes, and I was sideways, and I still ran into him, and yeah, kind of feel bad for that. But I was just I don't know, maybe hot tires or something, but I was just super loose going into the corner. Other than that, man, it's we're kind of struggling to keeping the tires under these things. Just not feeling very confident about running the wall. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, I got down pretty good, but I'm still just trying to find a good, consistent, fast line. So, and I think I probably got, at least out of the top 10, I probably got the oldest tires here. So I'm probably not going to do too good on this restart, but we'll see what happens.
We will indeed. We'll let you get back to it, but best of luck here, Nick. Hope we can make them work and make this restart fun for us. You always tend to.
Yeah, we'll try.
That's it.
All right, take care.
There you go, Nick Nickerson. Not sounding too sure for a guy who's had a really great race so far, for probably leading the most laps of anybody I would expect. But yeah, he is on the oldest tires of anybody in the top 10, and he's got his championship rival to the outside. It's going to be the 2, and it's going to be the 7, taking us off turn number 4 here. Restart number 4 tonight here at Homestead-Miami Speedway for the second round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge here for the Bandit Racing League Season 10. Here we go. Green flag, and it's the 2. It's going to lead us down to turn number 1 and 2. Foster not too far behind, taking a shot here at Lacy.
That was a great restart from the 2. I know he said he had a little bit older tires. That does play into effect here at this racetrack. Having older tires in these restarts, it gets a little squirrely. You got to keep the car underneath you, but great battle here towards 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th with Ricky Hart, Hunter Henry, Guzik, Daffin. As we see the 99 get a whole piece out of 4 there.
Yeah, we did indeed. Brandon Jackson got to settle that car down if he wants to put up a fight here against the 7 car Benjamin Lacy, who briefly fell back after Kevin Foster capitalized on a great start for his own night. So we talked about Kevin Foster pre-race being quick there in practice. We could see the 8 car maybe make a pass here on Nick Nickerson, look for his first win in I believe 2 seasons here in the Bandit Racing League. So could be a big night for him as well. Don't let him fly under the radar. But here we go. Back to the top side goes Brett Guzik, the only car in that really high groove there right up against the wall. He certainly stands out in the crowd, and the 04 car making up good pace, but somebody, whether it was Eddie Hagge or Alec Daffin, just scraped the wall on the outside of turn number 4. But regardless, they both go side by side here in a 1 and 2, and I think it'll be the 48 car going to take the better of that as we get onto the backstretch here.
That's some really tight racing back here in the end of the top 10 here. Jason Greenwell continuing to have a good night. Eddie Hagge, the sponsor of last week's race, continuing to have a good night. These GFR cars are running really strong. I don't know if they kind of worked on something as a team, but man, it's good to see them all run up front. Something that I keep my eye on. I know we don't really put it out here too much, but the Constructors Championship. GFR ended up taking the points lead on that, about 10 points. So as long as they keep running like this, they'll continue to manage that points lead.
Yeah, a team with a lot of moving parts, really starting to work as a group. It would seem as a singular unit. As the yellow flag comes out again here, cautions do breed cautions, and now it's going to be Hayden Paul, Ismail Padilla, and I think Tony Hilbrand's also involved here. Going to bring out caution number, is that 4 or 5? That is 4. So we are going to be halfway through tonight's race at the conclusion of this caution break. So we're going to go to your Apex Sim Racing replay, get a quick replay on what brought out caution number 4 tonight. So Tony Hilbrand's here, driver the number 92. He gets tagged absolutely in the quarter panel. Andrew Bedrosian just slides into him. Way too much momentum there. Down to turn number 1, tries to outbrake him and makes contact. Padilla and Hayden Paul just nowhere to go there. So Tony Hilbrand's not going to be particularly happy about that. He's never been known for his luck in this series, but I would say, Chris, at least from my perspective, nothing he was really going to do there.
Yeah, that's certainly a tough one. Kind of two cars just leaning on each other. At maybe they had a little bit fresher tires. Man, he got cracked a couple times there, and I know he probably used his fast repair already. So that's gonna be a tough one for him. I know it looks like Andrew Bedrosian has looked to retire the car for the night, so he won't continue on either. So hopefully Tony can rally back here as we see a couple cars coming down pit road.
Yeah, going to cut back live here to the drivers on pit road. Brett Guzik going to lead him down, it would seem, as Eddie Hagge, Hunter Henry, Jason Greenwell, Benny Hogan, Connor Gibson, Nolan Gross, Steve Ulrich, Hayden Paul, and Ismail Padilla all on pit road as well. And as previously mentioned, Andrew Bedrosian is on pit road and looks to be parking it for the night after that second incident there with Tony Hilbrand. So up on the jacks goes the 8 car of Brett Guzik. Now we are starting to see guys taking tires, including Benny Hogan there, who's shown pretty good pace. Eddie Hagge, who's been consistently in the top 5, and Nolan Gross going to beat them all out of pit road. Presumably not going to take tires, just fuel, and he moves on. What a battle off pit road we see here. Going to be Guzik beating Hagge. Then Henry beats Hayden Paul, who was just involved in that wreck. Then Jason Greenwell and Ismail Padilla. There are your drivers off pit road, and Benny Hogan, one of the last there to leave. The 11 car will restart after this. Restart in 19th. We're going to take a quick break here away. It's been a pretty busy night here for both myself and Chris Farrar. We're going to take a quick break here, side-by-side commercial break here on lap number 62. Should be coming back in just a couple laps with probably 62 more to go here in tonight's race at Homestead-Miami, the 14th of Season 10 of the Bandit Racing League in the second round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge. We will be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere, and we will see you all very soon. There we go, mics are off. No, all good. I have those moments all the time. Don't worry. I try to learn to roll with them, to have kind of a backup sort of term of phrase to use when I don't know what I'm talking about. All good. Oh man. I don't know why this feels like a long race, but really hasn't been in the grand scheme of things. I know. And we are back on the Full Sun Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League. Thanks for the catch there, Dawson Guzik in the chat. Just for whatever reason, this scene decided not to turn my mic off. But absolutely follow up what I said. It's felt like a weirdly long race here as we start to get a couple more cautions in, cycling into a race that was off the bat really exciting. One of the best starts we've seen in a while. I do think it's going to pick up, though. I think this is the moment where, cautions do breed cautions, but I think a lot of the guys have kind of worked their way out that were maybe causing some chaos there towards the back. So as we go back to green, as the 2 car takes the lead from the outside lane, the first driver to do so off of a start from the lead tonight, it's going to be Nickerson, it's going to be Lacy, and it's going to be Foster, your top 3. And I think this is going to be a good battle to the finish. I don't know about you, Chris, but I think this is where things start to pick up.
Yeah, I'd say so. Those 2 guys are, in the midst of their championship battle, and they're trying to establish dominance of one another in this league. Another car that came down for tires. He restarted 14th is this 04 car of Brett Guzik. I saw that he took tires. He's going to be fast here compared to these other guys. They're going to have to come down pit road here soon. I know they saved a little bit of fuel under those cautions, but I think that was the right strategy call for this 04 car, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. But he's rolling pretty good right now. We're going to see how he can put those new tires to good use.
Number 1 car here is cycling right out in front of Alec Daffney. He's going to slide up there and get back into the top 5. Again, your Rogue Energy Pole Award winner, who's been kind of working his way back through the field since that initial first stint where he dropped back a little ways once guys that were a little bit quicker on the long run started to work their way through. But might get another shot there to go track down his teammates as we see a 3 wide here between Foster, Gross, and that is Haggy on the bottom. So battle for 9th there effectively as they continue to go 3 wide. Clean racing so far here. Don't mean to jinx it. As we finish the second lap of this current stint, we'll see if guys can kind of get a rhythm and start to knock off some green laps here before too long. But the guy that's going to benefit, it would seem like right now, is going to be Nick Nickerson, running some really quick laps here on the start of this current stint, as Kevin Foster is going to hold up Brandon Jackson. So maybe some teammate efforts there, as Kevin Foster, who's pitted a little bit further back than Brandon Jackson did, going to try to hold him up on those older tires and let his teammate in the 2 car run away.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Kevin's taking his line away. I know Kevin likes the bottom, and we both know that Brandon really likes the bottom. So I know Brandon's itching to get by him because I think he thinks that he is probably the fastest car in the race, and he has certainly shown that he has a lot of speed tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see here if he can get by this 8 car as he's starting to fall back into the clutches of that 7 car. So he's got to make quick work of this 8 car if he wants to contend for that lead.
Looking elsewhere throughout the field, Mark Allen Bivens, a guy we haven't talked much about tonight, but the 76 car there currently sitting in 8th. He's going side by side with Christopher Hamilton, a guy that really haven't seen him interact with, at least not in my personal memory and any time recently. So this is going to be a battle here for 7th. Looking at the tire comparison, they both pitted on the exact same lap. So even on tires, and Mark Allen's given him a really good fight. The guy from that stable, that GFR Racing team that has been so dominant so far tonight, qualifying up there in the top 4 for the entire team. Really good show here for Mark Allen Bivens. Great start for him so far in this, I guess, third major stint of the race. And Eddie Haggy kind of been up and down throughout the field, but right now settling in comfortably into the top 10. And I think if he can rattle off some good laps here, might be able to hold off Brett Guzik, who's trying to charge past both of them and take over the 8th spot.
Yeah, it's really good to see a 76 car back up front. He's had a little bit of the struggle here towards this portion of the season, and he just got himself on the outside looking in for the playoffs. So we'll see if he can continue this good run and maybe come home with the top 10 tonight. But looks like he's going to lose position here to the 04 car of Brett Guzik. But this car is moving pretty good, the 04. I want to see how far he can get up on these newer tires, and he's going to be able to stay out a little bit longer than those leaders can. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the strategy plays out for the rest of this race.
Looking back up front here, that gap doesn't really seem to be changing between neither Nick Nickerson nor Kevin Foster and Brandon Jackson here. As we come down the backstretch, the top 5 separated by only a 1.5 seconds. That should tell you everything you need to know here about how close tonight's race at Homestead-Miami has been. A lot of guys seem to like this track sort of set up, the way the corners are banked, and certainly the way it chews up tires here. Is off turn number 4, Kevin Foster continuing to hold up Brandon Jackson. It's been a really, really impressive race for him so far. And as we look off the back, you would have thought, I would think, Chris, with that 9-lap tire disadvantage, or actually maybe Brandon didn't pit for tires in that most recent pit stop, but regardless, this is a great performance here for Kevin Foster, a level of pace that maybe we haven't seen flat out in quite a while from him.
Yeah, absolutely. We alluded to it last week where he came home, I think, 9th at Charlotte, and he had taken some time away from here at the Bandit Racing League. So it's good to see him back in the car and running up front. You know, former champion of the league, such a great support of the league, and you love to see that 8 car running up front. So hopefully you can put the whole thing together tonight and bring it home in the top 10, top 5, and maybe even contend for this win.
That is certainly the hope. As Kevin Foster, again, yeah, as you just mentioned, a very important longtime part of the series. It would be great to see him have some success there to pay back for. Here goes Brett Guzik there down the inside of Alec Dappen, who's had, again, a really up and down night. He's back to 7th where he qualified. Seems like no matter how quick he is, where he goes, he always finds a way back to 7th somehow. So now he is going to lose a spot to Brett Guzik, who goes forward. And I know you had mentioned him as kind of your pick for the win still. I think he's a pretty good one because Brett Guzik just, it looks like there's a fire under him right now, and that's maybe not a way he races all too particularly often here. He's usually pretty composed, but as we've said before, he can sometimes over-strategize himself, or at least he had in previous years prior to winning a championship. So, interesting race for Brett tonight. Maybe a side of him we haven't seen in quite a while.
Yeah, I think regardless, right, he's second in points right now. He's only a handful of points in front of Lacy. He's about 30 points back to Nick. So I think he's trying to reestablish himself here. He's had a couple bad runs, ones that he didn't like. As you see him go to the inside of the 1 car here. But he's had a couple of runs that he wasn't super happy about, and I think that this is a race for him that he wants to come out here and try to capitalize on and just put together a solid run. Even if he doesn't get the win, I think that Brett is just looking to come home with hopefully a podium, and I think he's more than capable of that.
Yeah, I think absolutely, and I think the way he's going right now, the pace he's had, he was faster again out of anybody in the top 6 that last time by. So I think as this battle continues to go on here up front, as Nick is chased down by a variety of different cars from different teams, yeah, I think he could have a pretty good shot to not only get back at the podium, but get back to the win if it's anything like Brandon Jackson, that first stint where everything chaotic happens up in front of you, and you just got to kind of capitalize when the moment comes.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that we're kind of alluding to the fact that we have this top 3 that is consistently battling, and you see them up here in the top 5. You got the 7 car, you got the 2 car, and the 0-4 car. You have all these other guys that are right there with them. They haven't quite got the consistency that these guys do. But if you look at that 2 car, he is always the least amount of incident points or times that he makes contact with the wall or another driver in the series. He has the least amount of incident points this year, and these guys are right behind them. And if you're looking at guys that are trying to keep their nose clean, like the 1 car of Ricky Hart, his teammate in the 2 car hasn't quite done that tonight. So it's uncharacteristic by Nick to make some contact with another driver, and we're going to see how that factors out. I think that that plays a little bit of a factor when you start making those little tiny mistakes that you're not typically doing.
Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate, given the circumstance, that Nick was immediately apologetic. I'm sure he apologized to him over the radio. I don't see the 04 car getting aggressive in response. I don't see him putting the elbows out as a result. But the way he's flying right now, I know he's on newer tires because he pitted more recently than anybody here on lap number 61. But the way he's just flying by guys here, it's great racecraft. That was a spot on Brandon Jackson for 3rd. So he could be the one to split up these teammates here for GFR Racing. And then in the case that this strategy isn't optimal for him, well, suddenly it's just, I think, part of the waters there for the number 99 car to sail by these 2 GFR guys, if it's anything like that first stint.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, Brett pitted back on lap 62, I believe, so he's going to be able to stay out a lot longer than the 2 car, the 8 car, the 7 car, and the 99. Maybe not as much as the 99 because they came down for just fuel only. As we're starting to see this battle for the lead really heat up, we have a 3-car battle for the lead, almost a 4-car battle for the lead. I think that Brett is going to make some quick work of that right here, as he's going to get the run off the corner, and Nick's not going to be able to come up to the top like he wants to. Yeah, just not quite. I think he knows that Brett's on tires, and he's going to save that battle for later on, and it's really going to come down to pit strategy. I'd really like to see this race go green from here on out, to see how this kind of plays out for all the drivers involved. Brett effectively has to make 1 more stop, and pretty much everybody else has to make 2 more. As I'm hearing right now, Nick's actually going to come down this time for tires and fuel. So this is where it's all going to start to trickle down. Are these guys going to make mistakes getting onto pit road like the 04 did? Another thing, I just want to do some quick housekeeping here. The 92 of Tony Hillbrands and the 25 of Steve Ulrich have retired their car for the night. They are done for the day. Unfortunately, things didn't work out the way they wanted to, but we'll get back to these green flag pit stops.
as not only Nick Nickerson, but also Benjamin Lacy, championship rival, both come down pit road this time. It's going to be Brett Guzik who will now officially pick up the race lead. Again, I know he's on newer tires, but the way he has come back through to get good track position, if he has the tires at the end to equal everybody else strategically, I think this has been a great comeback for Brett, and I think it's exemplary of when he does have that strategy locked in, he can find those wins nobody else can, whether it be at fuel races where he just makes it on fumes and wins as he has before, most notably I think at Atlanta last season. But now he's just pulling away, showing that pace now, and it's going to be Brandon Jackson trying to hold off Kevin Foster, who we just passed a moment ago. That 8 car just will not go away, and you got to wonder how much he holds up Brandon Jackson here, another guy that could give Nick a run for his money once the 2 car comes off of pit road. So the 8 car being a really great teammate for his buddy Nick, but also could just flat out have the pace to win it tonight if he can stay this close to Brett, and more importantly Nick when he exits the pits. But here comes here as we speak Kevin Foster, the 8 car down pit road.
Yeah, I just kind of did some quick math here in my head. So Brett's going to have to pit right around 95 or so, and from there he should be able to make it to the finish. These other guys, they're going to have to pit again around lap 110. So Brett is hoping that this race continues to stay green, to stay on his strategy, and he should be able to kind of walk home with a win, bearing that he doesn't have any mistakes getting onto pit road or anything like that we saw earlier. So right now, if you're that driver, that 04 car, just hit your marks, be smooth, calm down. I know that you had that little miscue earlier, but I'm really looking for Brett to capitalize on this one and kind of flip the tables on the 7 and the 2 car.
I mean, yeah, the way this has worked out, the fact that he will have to make the same number of pit stops there, I think that's just a perfect strategic decision. And now we do start to see Brandon Jackson working his way back on track, and this would be extremely impressive if this pace is genuine over the long run, because he should be 14 laps older on tires. And I know it's not a ton of forward progress yet, but he's just starting to work the gap out to about neutral. He was my pick for a reason. Our 2 picks I think are going to battle it out here in just a moment here, Chris. And something about Brandon here at Miami is just magical. Let's watch him on board for this lap and just see if we can find anything he's doing much better than Brett.
As I'm watching this in-car video, I'm just seeing how smooth he is, right? Getting off the corner, he's gently steering into that understeer that he's getting through the end of the corner there, and he's just so smooth with the wheel. You're not seeing a lot of inputs. Just such a smooth driver. He knows what he's doing. He has a ton of laps here, and the experience shows, right? You're going to see Nick here trying to get his lap back. He's trying to do that as fast as possible, but yeah, Brandon is just so smooth. Given that he has the older tires, that is tough to stay in touch with that leader. He's only a second behind.
Up in front, somebody just blew by Brett Guzik, as we can see somebody on that fresh set of tires. So trying to identify who that is. Might have been Hayden Paul. No, it's not kind of a dark car. Well, whoever.
That'd be the 2 car of Nick.
Oh, it was the 2 car. You're right, of Nick Nickerson. So yeah, one of those guys that really does need to run good lap times right now. They're on those fresher tires. Yeah, he's really starting to make the lap times here. So those multiple strategy races, they have made some good results in the past, even if it's not a battle side by side to the finish. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's the sort of finish we see, because I think that it's such a cool race tonight that we've seen so far, because the way that strategy has worked out, everybody has kind of had their turn to be the guy on the new tires chasing somebody down, or to be the guy trying to conserve, and doing so quite well if you're anybody here in the top 5. So just fascinating the way this has worked out, and to see that Brett and Nick can see each other on track, are effectively racing for the win, but maybe don't entirely know what they're going to look like on fuel and tires by the end of this race, because we have a tough time here up in the booth calculating, Chris, what things are going to look like when guys are going to need to pit. Imagine trying to do it from within the race car.
Yeah, we're going to see the complete opposite side of this here in a couple laps, where Brett is going to have to come down pit road and get his final service in the race, and he's going to be a lap down. He's going to be trying to race down Nick. I think what we're seeing here is Brett maybe conserving a little bit, saving those tires, just taking care of it, maybe stretching out the fuel a little bit longer, so that way he can take on less fuel on that last pit stop. But it's going to be interesting. You want to get yourself unlapped as fast as possible. We saw very quickly there how caution after caution happened, and I know that's in the back of his mind of the 04 car.
Yeah, I have absolutely no doubt that Brett is such an analytical guy, and it's one thing that I've often prided him on. I think it's absolutely a major factor in why he became a champion in this series last year. But definitely, he's gonna need to not overthink this too much, because there's gonna be a lot of different strategies swirling around him, and he's just got to get dialed in and do his thing. Brandon Jackson has started to drop back a little bit. I'm watching his laps kind of in the background here as he runs behind Brett, and he's getting a little bit wiggly. He's getting a little bit loose and on the exit of certain corners, and it's exciting because Brandon's a guy that I think works best, that he operates best in these Xfinity race cars when he's got to drive a little bit, when he's got to work the hands, when he's got to keep it under him. We talked about in his interview at the very beginning of the race how understeery these cars were. Well, as the tires start to get older, if he can be the one to manage that sort of toxic oversteer pretty well, he could start to make that gap back. And I just think he's a guy that I think is going to benefit quite a bit if we get a caution and he can get out here with equal tires to everybody around him and just race flat out to the finish to not have to worry about strategy, because I don't think that's really where Brandon's interests really lie in racing.
Yeah, and if you look at the guys that pitted similar to Brett, Brandon pitted for the same amount of fuel, the caution prior to when Brett took tires. So he's on a pretty close strategy to Brett. Other guys on that same strategy, I believe, is Jason Greenwell and Eddie Hagge. So those guys are going to be on the same strategy as Brett. They're going to be running a little bit longer right now, but they only have to make one more stop, where all these other guys that just came off pit road, they're going to have to pit again. So this is going to be interesting if Brandon can stay in touch with the 04 car while having to conserve fuel. I would love to see how that plays out, if he can actually make a charge towards the 04 car towards the end of the race.
Just keeping an eye on here on another little battle here throughout the rest of the top 5 here. Benny Hogan, who's had a great race for himself. Remember, Rollcraft, new sponsor to that race team between the Rollcraft team of the 11 of Hogan and the 5 of Harkins. Hogan's representing them really well so far tonight, and he is starting to pull away a little bit from Alec Daffin, who's moved up from that 7th spot that I was talking about before. He's consistently been in all night. Now he's moved up a little bit. He's up there in 5th. But Benny Hogan, man, what a comeback after some earlier kind of adversity where he dropped back through the field a little bit, as Christopher Hamilton, we see in the 15 car, comes down pit road. But the gaps have really spread out. Everybody's within a full second or more of each other, as Ricky Hart and Brandon Jackson come down pit road this time. So this should be the final service of the night for both these cars if they take fuel full in the tank. And same with Alec Daffin. So Brett Guzik going to stay out the longest of anybody, which is not a surprise considering that he pitted later than everybody else. Bill Harkin's now going to be the last driver out who pitted on that sort of second major wave of pit stops earlier in the race. But here we go, important battle off pit road. Ricky Hart Jr. versus Brandon Jackson versus Alec Daffin. This could be huge, and these are the intangibles that I talk about every week. And Brandon's a guy that's good at them, and I think Ricky Hart is one of the best.
So these guys that are on pit road right now, they are right on their number. They have just enough fuel to make it to the end. Now, do they run a little bit harder and burn a little bit more fuel? Do they need to save a little bit? For them, this is strictly a fuel mileage race at this point. They need to make sure they're hitting their numbers every single lap and take care of it all the way to the end, because they don't have much room for error. You already discussed that. Nick Nickerson, Kevin Foster, Benjamin Lacy, those guys, they need to come back in again. As we see the 04 car coming down pit road here, and he is good and clear from this point on. He can make it all the way to the end, being lap 96, 37 lap fuel run. He can make it all the way in from here. So that extra lap or two could make the difference here between Brett Guzik and the likes of Brandon Jackson and Ricky Hart.
New race leader here going to be the 83 of Mr. Pompous himself, Mr. Jason Greenwell. Started back there in 13th. All the way up to the number 1 spot here, and even once he pits out and cycles out, could have a pretty favorable spot, I would say, based on where everybody else is. So Jason Greenwell, a guy trying to make that playoff cutoff as we get to the end of the year. We'll see what he can do on pit road here, but having the freshest tires of anybody here for this final stint surely can't be a bad thing, and nice and clean, doesn't seemingly take a speeding penalty. So Jason Greenwell there, good night for the driver of the number 83 car here at Miami. And now back to Nick Nickerson and Kevin Foster, the 2 first guys on this, I would say lead strategy, but it may not be as this continues to cycle out. They're going to need to make one more pit stop that nobody else from Brandon Jackson on back will need to make. Same with Benjamin Lacy. He'll have to make one more pit stop as well. So that gap is sitting at about 12 seconds right now between them and all the guys behind. What do you think, Chris? Like, would you try to split this in half, and as soon as you can take tires fresh about halfway through your tire stint, would you pit then? Or would you try to maybe hope for a caution, just go to the end here? Just go as far as he can. If he gets some cautions, might make it. If not, you're going to have to pit one more time. What do you think is the call there?
So if I'm that top three, I'm hoping that within the next 10 laps here we get a caution. Let these guys that just took their last set of tires, build up some wear on those tires, and that way when you do restart, you're going to have fresher tires than them, and you will have the advantage. You'll be good on fuel, and you'll have the better tires. If you're the 04, the 99, the 1, you want this thing to go green all the way to the end, because there is no way that Nick can make it on fuel, Kevin can make it on fuel, and Benjamin will make it on fuel. They have to pit again, and they're going to end up cycling out behind you. So if you're the 04 car, you're just trying to keep it close between you and the 99 and keep tabs on that one car putting his nose in things. But that would be my concerns for all those drivers.
Jumping here on board with Christopher Hamilton, driver of the number 15 car. He's starting to track down Alec Daffin once again, the guy who is now back to 7th. 7 just seems to be the spot for the night here for Alec Daffin. So here comes Christopher Hamilton here, trying to make up a little bit of time, and not too far up the road is the red car of Ricky Hart Jr. And now down to the inside of Brett Guzik is going to be Ricky Hart Jr. here momentarily. Where did this gap close up from? How did the one car get this close? I know he pitted 2 laps earlier, but still, I mean, 2 laps is, let's say, give or take about a second and a half. That gap is quite a bit smaller than it was, and it didn't look like it was on pit entry, so I wonder where the time went there for Brett Guzik.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't think that he was running that slow of laps before he pitted. I think he was running around 35-second lap, 34-second lap, so that's around the pace that you would think that he would be running at that point in time. I don't know if Brett is saving just a little bit of his tires here to make sure he has that final push for the end, and hoping that Brandon is trying to skirt away in case he does have to save fuel. But really, that is the race for Brett. He needs to make sure that he doesn't get passed by this one car, and he needs to keep that 99 car out front, make sure he has tabs on him. Right now, he shouldn't be concerned with the 2, the 8, and the 7, because like we said, they have to come down pit road one more time.
I think Jackson, the way this is going to cycle out again with those guys needing to pit one more time, and the further we go, I think the possibility of enough cautions to save them on fuel, I think gets smaller and smaller. So Brandon Jackson, it's all about that gap to Brett. I think that's the important thing for him to monitor. It's sitting at about 1.2 seconds now, actually down to 1.1 since I said that. So it's going to be close. It's going to be fun to watch. And I think Brandon Jackson and Brett Guzik, 2 veterans of the series, 2 guys with many race wins in Bandit Racing League competition, but 2 guys that maybe haven't got a chance to duke it out here in quite a while. So 2 guys that have both had very interesting races. Brett Guzik as the, unfortunately, victim of an incident, and Brandon Jackson as the guy who capitalized upon it. But 2 very different paths, both looking for their 2nd win of the season, and 2 guys that would, in the case of Brandon Jackson, it would help solidify him into the playoffs. In the case of Brett Guzik, it would help bring him back into contention potentially for that championship, regular season championship lead. And if Nick does have a race where he needs to pit one more time here, only gets back to about 10th or 11th, could be a huge points night here for the driver of the number 04.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I find interesting is that the 7 is following the same strategy as the 2 car. And I think that kind of just speaks to how he's approaching this championship. He's just trying to keep tabs on what Nick's doing, and whatever he's doing, he's mirroring it. If he can't get in front of him, he's just going to follow him around and kind of be a pest to him. I think that is a cool developing story as we proceed here through the final races before we start the championship. But if you're looking at this presumable battle for the lead here between Jackson, Guzik, and Ricky, these are all 3 drivers that are very hungry for a win. They've been really lusting for that win, and they really want it, all for different reasons. Brandon needs it for his championship hopes. He's right there at the bubble. Ricky's just trying to get that momentum heading into the playoffs. And that's kind of the same for Brett, but it's been kind of a 2-car tandem here, for lack of a better term, with the 7 car and the 2 car. I think that Brett is trying to establish himself and put his name in that conversation. That way he's not getting forgot about, because he is the previous champion of this series, and I know that he wants to kind of go back-to-back here and reestablish himself as the guy to beat.
I can guarantee that. Brandon is a very hungry driver, one of the hungriest in the series, and if you've been here for a long time, you know what it's like when Brandon Jackson wins a race. It is very, very apparent. He's a really fun guy to interview, and I wouldn't mind getting a chance to talk to him later. But right now, Christopher Hamilton is trying to get by Alec Daffin, who again is back in the conversation for 7th, but Alec is up in 6th now, so Christopher Hamilton trying to put him back into 7th. The 15 car, just a weird night for him there. Qualified up in third with the GFR Racing top 4 tandem, but now sits as currently the driver in the back of that 4-car pairing between the GFR Racing guys. Ricky Hart up there in 5th, and then the Foster and Nickerson connection there up in 1st and 2nd. So, been a weird night so far for Chris, but he still shows a ton of pace. He's running really good lap times comparatively to everybody else. Ran faster than Foster that last time by up in the lead. So, Hamilton's just chugging away there and might be one of those guys that if this race really breaks down and gets really crazy with some cautions later, could have the pace to potentially kind of surprise people and maybe be a shock winner at the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly shaking up for that. And I mean, a couple good runs out of a couple guys here that I think needed it for their season and kind of a shot in the arm for them. But the 98 of Sean Britt, it's good to see him up here in the top 10. The 83 of Jason Greenwell, he's running 9th right now. I said I wanted him to have a good run tonight, and hopefully he can capitalize on that and continue to have that good run. But, we haven't really shown him as much love as we have in seasons past, but the old pompous fellow still got it. So another thing that I've been kind of keeping track on is Nick is slowing down his pace a little bit here. I don't know if he's kind of abused the tires too much, but what I think is happening is Nick is trying to stretch his fuel enough to hopefully catch a caution, because he knows that is the better strategy is if he can come down under a caution, and that's the only way he's going to be able to close the gap to Brett. So, and we get a caution.
Oh, commentator's jinx is beautiful. Gary Wright has gone around somewhere on track, and that changes everything. Let's go back to Gary Wright in the 6 car, trying to keep it under him there. No considerable damage. He's just gone around somewhere on track. Yeah, no damage at all. So we go to the full send racing replay courtesy of Apex Sim Racing here. There's Brandon Jackson. There's Benjamin Lacy. Gets into Jackson, actually. Brandon, seemingly no damage there, but seems like nothing could go wrong at this point in the race for Brandon Jackson. Then suddenly he tags a lap car. So that'll do it. Kind of a random moment. We'll watch it one more time there. I don't think that was particularly on Brandon by any means. It was close. Just kind of a weird moment there. Weird positioning for Benjamin Lacy under him, and maybe for a lap car, kind of weird positioning there in the mid to upper portion of the track. But that changes everything here, Chris. That is insane. That is what we like to see, and that is what I think is going to create some great racing here to the finish. Might give a chance for Foster and Nickerson to get back in it, and I think it will. We go live. Foster and Nickerson have pitted. Brett Guzik stays out, as well as Benjamin Lacy. Benjamin Lacy is a lap down. I don't know when that happened, but is going to get the wave around the pace car. It would seem Brett Guzik will take over the lead, but did I miss something here, Chris? I don't remember Benjamin going a lap down.
So 2 laps prior to this caution, Lacy actually pitted, and I think that was in hopes to jump Nickerson on track to hopefully get the better of the finish from the 2 car and the 8 car. He'd be kind of the top on that strategy there, and unfortunately it didn't quite work out. This is going to be awfully interesting. So you have the 7 that's going to start at the tail end of the field with the wave around. So he's going to have to work his way through all this traffic. We're going to see where the 2 and the 8 cycle out, but they're going to be on about 15 lap pressure tires than the 04 car. Man, this is shaping up to be a absolute wild one, because if the 2 car and this 8 car have to start a little bit deeper back in the field, and you already have the 7 car starting deeper back in the field, that's going to be a wild one. The 99 had to come pit and probably take his fast repair to get his car fixed up, but I don't believe he has tires in the pits. So, man, I mean, you wanted a crazy finish, you got one.
Yeah.
This is going to be a wild one. We should have said this at the beginning of the broadcast, but if you don't have your popcorn, go get it now. This is going to be wild.
Undoubtedly, the Houston, Texas native Kevin Foster is going to lead the drivers on that second strategy, who just pitted for a final time, going to have a tire advantage, presumably, is going to lead them off pit road. Kevin Foster, what a drive from him tonight. What a resurgent performance from the 2-time champion in the Bandit Racing League here tonight. If we redo picks here, which we don't tend to do here in the series, but if we were to, I get the feeling with Kevin, the way he was battling his teammate Nick a little bit earlier, I think he can get by these guys pretty quick up there in the lap cars. And I think he could have a shot at the win here tonight. It would be his first in quite a while, but it would kind of put him back in the realm of that top 11 there for the championship, and he could try to go for number 3.
Yeah, I mean, that is a pretty safe bet here. He is going to be flying. We saw that with Brett earlier when he was on a different strategy from these other cars here, and how much extra pace that he had. I think that it looked like Brett was saving tire there at the beginning of that run. So let's see if he saved enough. But these guys aren't too far back in this pack, and they are going to be there quickly. So Brett really has to go if he's going to try and dash to this win here. We're going to restart with about, let's say, 13, 14 to go here. So, man, this is going to be a wild couple laps.
Yeah, I think wild is absolutely the way to put it. We're gonna take a moment here to talk to Benjamin Lacy there, currently sitting at the back end of the lead lap. He's just getting the waiver on the pace car right now as the lights in the pace car are off. So we'll go green next time by. We won't go to him because he is he's got places to be. He's trying to get around the track in time to go make it and catch up to the back of the field. So we'll give him a moment. I think Brandon Jackson's probably going to be busy strategizing right now. We're going to give the guys a break. We're going to just take it straight to the restart here, not bug these guys. They have to get dialed in. It's a lot of pressure as a race car driver, and certainly they do not need me talking in the rear in their final moments of prep here. But before we get too far, we once again want to thank tonight's race sponsor. Tonight is the Rogue Energy Triple Header Challenge, round number 2. As always, RogueEnergy.com is linked in the description below. But if you want some great energy drink products made the right way, made with lots of natural ingredients, not artificial, not particularly unhealthy, they're a great energy option. You want to try some free samples, you can order them off the website, and then you can order your shaker cups or your tins or your tubs or whatever you may need, and a variety of different summery and dessert-like flavors. Well, with that, Rogue Energy, thank you once again for sponsoring the Triple Crown Challenge. Remember, it's Indianapolis Homestead, and we'll go to Phoenix to cap it off later in the series. But here we go. This is going to be a great end of the race here. Guzik, Hogan, Greenwell, Hagee, Foster, your top 5. 13 laps to go here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, and it's a giant gaggle of cars to turn number 2. Look at the pack as we spread out through 1 and 2, 3 wide down the inside, the 2, and the splits between Hogan and Jackson and Hart and Bivens up to the top line. Things are getting nuts. I don't know where to look.
Oh, this is gonna get crazy. If I'm
whoa, contact!
Greenwell
around. They save it. Nobody wrecks. Hart's still going around. Can Hart save it? He's still on track. Get it under him, saves it. The one car does not go around. We stay green. What a first lap here on the restart as Brett Guzik tries to run away from Benny Hogan, who now gets in the picture. Where did the 11 car come from? Can we see out of nowhere a Benny Hogan win, possibly for the first time in series history, right as Rollcraft gets involved as a partner in the series? What a way to start out that partnership it would be. I didn't see that coming at all, Chris. He's getting in the battle, and this is going to get exciting.
Yeah, this is certainly going to get exciting. What a storyline for him to just be running up front and contending. We know that he's fast, and we know that he's more than capable of winning. But man, what a restart that was. And if you're that 04 car, I don't even know if you want another restart. But I mean, it's kind of good that the 8 got involved there because that took out maybe a candidate to come and steal the win from you. But golly, that was nuts.
Here comes Brandon Jackson, ran the fastest of anybody that last time by, a 33.67 second lap. That's a personal best. Exactly tied Nick Nickerson a little bit further back, currently sitting in 7th, ran an identical lap. Benjamin Lacy's going to try to start squeezing his way through the field here, trying to find whatever spots he can to try to track down anybody for that regular season championship. Currently the race leader he's battling with to try to win that regular season title. Same with Nick, who's up in 6th now. So right to the back bumper goes the 99 car, leaving no room for error between him and the 11 car. And here comes Kevin Foster there, newest tires of anybody. This is going to get clutch, but Alec Daffin as well. Don't forget about him. He just pitted a moment ago as well, so the 48 car could be on pace for his 2nd win of the season. A lot of guys in this part of the field that could be going for number 2, and Nick quietly back there in 6th could be going for number 6. What a night it would be back-to-back for him.
Oh, this is so tough if you're that 04 car. You're just hoping that this race will end and hoping you're going to get that flag. I don't know if this 99's on tires, but he is hooked up right now. As you see him go to the inside of the 04 car. I don't know how much of a fight you can put up at this point.
Oh, he's going to try, though. He's going to slot in behind the 04 Guzik. That's a bold move. I don't know if the plan is go wide. It doesn't look like it, but that pack in behind is closing. What a finish this is going to be. Hogan drops back a couple spots. Nickerson picks him off. I think it's just a case of tires. Benny pitted back on lap number 95, so just doesn't have the advantage. With a battle for the lead, down into turn number 1, the 99 car fully clears the 04 Guzik. Those fresher tires paying off, and all three of those new fresh tire guys down the inside, one by one. It's Jackson, then Daffin, then Foster, all trying to get by Brett Guzza because he just tries to hang in for however he can on that slightly inferior strategy, trying to make it work, trying to stay in the top 5.
And the championship implications here, all these guys need a win. All these guys are trying to solidify themselves in this championship hunt. Kevin Foster's trying to put himself back in the playoff picture. Daffin's sitting there in 6th on the playoff points. Jackson just was able to edge himself into the playoff last week. So there's a lot of implications here as we see the 2 car starting to put himself in this battle. The 7 car struggling a little bit with that wave around and had to start at the tail end of the field. He's now looking like he's going to make a move to the inside of the 76 for the 11th spot. So we'll see how well he can rebound as we have what's coming to 6 laps to go.
6 laps to go indeed. We're looking off the front nose of the 48 of Alec Daffin, who currently sits in 2nd. I've been saying all night, he just always seems to end up in 7th. Really consistent top 10 pace for him. But now he's kicked it into another gear, starting to clear Kevin Foster a little bit. Going to go up to the high line. Can Brendan's lower line work this long into the stint? That is the big question here. Coming to 5 laps to go next time by. Brandon Jackson, arguably the quickest of anybody here in the series, just in general at Homestead-Miami. But he's going to have to be perfect. Any mistake, and there is not one, but like 4 or 5 extremely elite drivers who will make him pay for it. And Kevin Foster there is putting the pressure on Alec Daffin as well. He's going to have to be on the loud pedal. If not only he wants to go get Brandon, but he just wants to hold on to 3rd here from a very hungry Kevin Foster.
Yeah, Kevin's trying to just inch in there, get on his quarter panel, hopefully put some air on it, drag him back a little bit. As doesn't quite get there. He's getting the looks he needs. It's only a matter of time, but we'll see if Davin's got some tricks up his sleeves here, as you also have the 2 car just waiting there in the shadows, hopefully to capitalize on him as well. I know that GFR wants to get these 2 cars on the podium for their championship hopes. But man, I did not see that coming, and we only have a couple laps to go here, but man, this is going to feel like an eternity for that 99 car.
It really, really will. Alec Daffin keeping that gap about the same place it was before, 6-7 tenths of a second. So again, that mistake, whenever it happens from Brandon Jackson, if it happens, would pretty much spell the end of his lead here, because those guys are right behind him. Kevin Foster and Nick Nickerson there, all trying to battle for podium spots here at the end. It was a great drive from Nick early on. He had a ton of pace, took the lead early. It'd be a very deserving podium, but right now his teammate is separating him from Alec Daffin and separating him from a potential two GFR racing cars on the podium kind of night. And well, after a top 4 there in qualifying earlier in the night, anything less than 2 cars in the podium would have to seem like a disappointment at this point.
Yeah, I'd certainly say so. Just to kind of recap here, as we're going through this battle for the lead, but the 04 car has slipped back to 6th position on track as we have some guys closing in on him with some better tires. Good run from the 98 car of Sean Britt. He's up here in 5th position on track. Really good to see him up there, but you know, that's a tough break for that 04. He did not need that caution. As we were talking about, came out the worst time for him. Right now, if you're the 04, you just want to kind of manage what you can and come home with the best points you can. Another guy to kind of take note on is that 7 car Benjamin Lacy, sitting now in the 10th position as he battles the 31 car of Connor Gibson for 9th. So he's rebounded pretty well, considering he had to start at the tail end of the field.
Off of turn number 4 for the second to last time. The Apex Sim Racing white flag is out. One more lap to go here at Homestead-Miami. The next flag will end the race. Brandon Jackson's opened the gap up to a full 2nd. The question is, who will take those podium spots? And can Brandon just bring it home? The gap's starting to drop a little bit through 1 and 2, but you know he's just starting to coast a little bit. He's keeping it chill. Brandon Jackson, not generally a guy where calm is the first word that comes to my head when I think about him, but he has played this perfectly. It was a mature drive. It was a mature race. Off of turn number 4, Brandon Jackson will bring it to the line. He is your winner at Homestead-Miami for the 2nd season in a row in the Bandit Racing League. The number 99 car picks up the victory in a race that is very near and dear to his heart. Congratulations, as Alec Daffin and Kevin Foster hold off last week's winner Nick Nickerson to keep the 2 car off the podium, but he stays in 4th. And Sean Britt, what a drive, as you said, comes home there in 5th. Wow.
I'm just trying to catch my breath here, Marshall. That was crazy.
That was incredible. What a run to the finish there. Very, very well-deserved win. You saw Brandon Jackson was pumped up there on Skype as he came across the line. Brandon just loves a win, and he's such a competitive driver. You know this is one he had circled on his calendar for a while. And remember the way this started here, Chris. Way back at the start of the night, he had that little bit of a slip up there in that early incident. Those first couple laps just did not work well for him, but he got it dialed in, figured it out, locked in, and now the 99 car gets win number 2. And as we were talking about before, that gap between him and the regular season championship, or sorry, the overall top 11 in the regular season to make it into the playoffs, the gap to the cutoff line just got a little bit bigger, and that's what he needs to hear. And he did finish 5th in the opening round of the Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge, so a win here tonight with Nick finishing back and forth. He could be in contention come Phoenix time to maybe go for that Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge championship, but whatever he's doing burnouts right now. He's excited. We'll get ready for his interview in just a moment with your race winner, Brandon Jackson. Here we go. Kevin Foster in the background doing donuts with him as well. We are ready for the interview, so we're not going to waste much time. We're going to bring him in here. We'll keep it nice and quick there as you see the car in the background continue to celebrate. Let's get him up in the broadcast booth. Brandon Jackson, your race winner here at Miami. Hey, Brandon, it is... Oh. He's having a tough time getting him in. Hey, Brandon, it is Marshall and Chris up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
What's up, man?
There you go, Brandon. Back in victory lane. That's 2 on the season. You're starting to like that Xfinity car, I can tell. The pace was there all night. It was a crazy race, but there at the end, everything started to fall into place, and you just pulled away. What is it about Miami you love, and how did tonight cap off so well for you?
Man, this track, man, it's just so much fun, man. You just got to know how to work the car. It's a finesse game on exit and entry, man, and you know, you heat up that right rear, or she ain't gonna love you. So you got to be patient with the throttle, man. This car's a little bit on the tight side, but you just got to be patient, man. And man, what a race! Started off for me almost raking, to us having some cautions, and then to me, I don't even know what happened with the lap car. I just ran out of room, I guess. I don't even know. And then just had to drive the wheels off of it, drive it like I stole it. So it was fun, man. It was it's Miami, and I love this place, man.
Yeah, it was very obvious there all night. It seemed like nobody could really figure out what the strategy call was. Everybody was doing something different. Brett was on his own kind of thing, but Nick and the GFR guys went one way. Benjamin Lacy's championship rival went another way. I'm curious to know, where do you tend to fall when races like this get chaotic strategy-wise? Everybody's pitting at certain spots. Are you just going with the flow, and what was the big picture plan for you tonight?
Man, my whole idea was once we went green after those caution laps that we had in the middle, it was more so just how far can I stretch this tank before I got to pit for the last stop, and I thought it was gonna be a lot closer than what we actually had left in the tank. So my whole idea was forget about what everybody else is doing. I'm pretty much just gonna sit here and run it dry basically, and go from there. And pretty much it was going to be just save the tires, because I knew Nick, Benjamin, and I think it was Kevin, I knew they all had to pit again. It was obvious, because there was no way they would have made it on fuel. So at that point, I kind of went into cruise control, and then I had that issue with the lapper, which was unneeded and not smart, so that kind of threw a wrench into everybody's ideas on how the race was going to finish. But then you just got to buckle down. You got to get up on the wheel on that restart with I think it was like 12-13 laps to go, and you just got to go, man. That's all it comes down to. And with me being aggressive, I took every chance I had, and somehow it paid off.
Well, Brandon, it's Chris up here in the booth, and I just kind of wanted to talk to you. You know, we talked to you early in the race. You almost had that spin there in turn 1 and 2. It looked like you lost it a little bit. Rebounded. You found yourself up after the seas parted for you when Brett and Nick got into each other. I just wanted to kind of talk to you through that incident there with the 6 car of Gary right towards the end of the race. Me, I thought your race was done. You know, I don't know if you strapped on tires when you went into the pits there. But kind of talk me through where your head was at when you got into that little incident there, and you know, how do you rebound from that and then, you know, go challenge for the lead and ultimately win the race?
Man, to be completely honest with you, I'm so happy we do not do a radioactive because it was not very rated E for everyone during that whole caution period. I was very upset at what had brought out the caution, but at the end of that, I just pretty much sat there and I was like, man, I'm mad. You know, let's just hunker down here. Let's get on the wheel. Got new tires on the car. Hey, let's go get it. Let's see what we can get. You know, we got to. I mean, you kind of almost got to throw that out the back window. You just got to go with what you got. Thankfully, the car wasn't too badly damaged from that, and you know, I was able, you know, coming to the green. I just kind of like just did a little reset and pretty much, you know, took what I had. You know, I was top of 3, maybe even 4, I think, going into turn 1 on the restart, and pretty much was able to carry the momentum on the high side, which I rarely run the high side here. So it was very unique for me, and then just having to you know, pick the way through the field, and then we had a little incident going in turn 3, which kind of again part of the seas for me, and I was able to, you know, kind of you know, reset and go after the last 2-3 guys that were up in front of me that were on old tires, and once I was able to get past them, it was more just hey, you know, run the use them if I got them. That's pretty much what I did on the tires at the end. So paid my money for the good years, and I used all of them. So that was pretty much fun. But yeah, I was very unhappy during that caution. I mean, if my camera was being showed, and if you can read lips, it wasn't fun.
Well, Brandon, hopefully you've now come full circle. Hopefully the disappointment, the frustration is now balanced out with getting your second win of the year, getting back in victory lane at a track that I know you would have had circled for quite a while. So how does it feel? Wrap it up for us, and then just wrap it in your final thoughts, any shout-outs, friends and family, sponsors, anything you want to mention, you know the deal.
Man, 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row I won this track.
There you go.
In a row, man. So let's hopefully make it 4 next time we're here. But man, gotta thank everybody watching. Gotta thank everybody that was in my Twitch chat tonight. It was good to see everybody there. we had some funny and hectic moments, but we got through it. But gotta thank everybody that's in the broadcast watching, man. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we as racers are gonna put on the show regardless of what's going on. And gotta thank the broadcast crew, you and Chris. Y'all do an awesome job. I love going back and watching the broadcast. And man, I don't really know what else. Yeah.
just go enjoy it, Brandon. You actually look kind of tired as far as post-race victory broadcast booths go. So I get the sense that you need to just let it soak in and get some sleep, and then come back and try to do it again in 2 weeks' time. Not next week, but 2 weeks' time. We're back at Dega. That'll be a fun one. That's one that you got to have circled on the calendar too. That seems like a Brandon Jackson kind of track. So there you go. Just enjoy it, Brandon. It's so great to talk to you again, man. That's 2. You get even further above the cutoff line. I want to see that 99 car make a deep playoff run, and that's a good start. That's the way to do it. Keep that momentum for us, and great to see you, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
That's great, man. I'll see y'all in a couple weeks.
There you go. What a pleasure here to talk to Brandon Jackson. Always an excited guy. Always excited to talk about all things racing, but most specifically when he wins, when he finds success, I find he's pretty excited to go over the race. So what a victory for him. That's much needed for the number 99 car. And now on to a guy that came very close to victory here in a race that really just it seemed to always be on the back burner, ready to go at any given moment. And towards the end there, he had a shot at the win. Mr. Alec Daffin will pull him in just a moment here. Get ready for his interview. Here we go. We are all set. Alec Daffin, tonight's second place finisher, the Pullman, Washington native. Let's get him up here in the broadcast booth. Mr. Alec Daffin, you got a copy? Chris and I up in the broadcast.
I was in there the whole time, but yes, I got a copy.
All good. Just wanted to make sure there for you, Alec. Congratulations, my man. Second place tonight. Really great driving from start to finish. Really consistent all the way through, I noticed. We kept talking about you, actually, as you always seem to be the guy in 7th specifically. And towards the end there, everything just seemed to click. What happened there in the last 25 laps? Strategy worked well for you, or did you really find something in the car?
Man, it was overall it was not a good race tonight. We just did not have the speed. Short run speed was decent, but long run speed was just not there. Around halfway or so, I kind of found a little sloping. Especially on being on older tires, I was able to keep up with Ricky and then hold off Christopher and all the other guys. But yeah, with a caution of 25 to go, I was set for probably a 5th or 6th place finish. I was probably a 7th or 8th place car, but strategy was going to help me a little bit. But then, yeah, guys like Brett and then Benny, they didn't have a set of tires left. I played alternate strategy early in the race to save no set of tires, which didn't look like it was going to work out, but in the end it did. Then we restarted about 10th or so, and yeah, things just kind of played out. I guess Jason got loose up there, and then Nick had to check up, and then I kind of ran the top there. I didn't run the top at all in 3 and 4 the whole night, but thankfully nobody slid up and wiped me out or anything, and I was able to get up to 4th or 5th or whatever, and then just got lucky right there. And then had a couple other guys on old tires I was able to get in front of. So not the best race, but we hung in there and got lucky at the end and got a good finish out of it. So good points there.
Yeah, you got to be in the conversation to fight for the win at the end. So you did everything you had to do, and Alec, I think more so than anybody in the series, you're kind of a lock for top 6, top 7. You're always there in the conversation. It's been such a stellar year from you. You're absolutely above the playoff line, the cutoff for the playoffs. So your opportunity to go for a championship looks almost automatic. Not to jinx you, but heading into Talladega, you got to feel pretty good about it. Just what's the approach? Do you feel like the championship? Do you feel like you want to start working towards more consistent, winning performances like at Benjamin Lacy or Nick Nickerson? Or are you happy to sit in kind of the role Brett Guzik did last year, where just the consistency, your ability to rack up points each and every week, is that kind of an approach to the year that you're comfortable with the way it's gone so far?
I mean, I'm not going to complain about how things have gone. I would like to be in contention more with Nick and Brett and Benjamin, all of them, but I mean, it's better than being on the tow truck. I mean, for sure. I mean, I'd like to be up there contending for wins, but the good runs are nice. Definitely get a good points day. I think we're up to 4th in points now after Curtis and Joshua missed the race, so that's good. But I mean, I'll say Talladega will probably crash in 2 weeks, but I'm just hoping the good luck doesn't run out when the playoffs start. That's the only thing. But I mean, if we can just keep doing what we're doing, I don't know if I'll win the championship, but we'll definitely be in the conversation. So I'd like to be a contender for wins, but if we can just keep doing what we're doing, we'll definitely maybe have a shot at 1 or 2 more before the year's over.
Alec, Chris up here in the broadcast booth. Kind of just to build on what you were just talking about there, you've quietly had a really, really good season, and it's quite impressive, to be honest with you, to see a guy come in here with your talent level and be able to contend with these guys up front. You've actually started 2 less races, or if you had 2 less races count for you compared to the rest of these guys, and you're sitting here up in 4th in points, just 30 behind Benjamin Lacy. So what do you think it's going to take for you to get to that next step and to be able to compete at that championship level and carry this into the postseason?
Get better, in the words of Nick Nickerson. Get better. I haven't heard him say that, but I've heard the quote. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we've been consistent. We've been hanging in there. Haven't made any major mistakes. We've been getting good finishes. Just need to probably put in more practice. I mean, I feel like I'm prepared coming into these races, but obviously I'm not competing for wins. So I mean, if we can just put in some more preparation coming into the race whenever I have time, and just try to just be smoother, I guess. I mean, like I said, I haven't really made any mistakes, but I just need to try and find a little more speed. If I can do that, I think we'll be okay.
Well, Alec, it was a pleasure to see you back here in the broadcast booth again. I'm always looking out for you, because you've been just such a, I think, one of those like plug and play, as they say in the NFL draft world, kind of guys. You just came right into the series. You immediately felt like a veteran. To Chris's point, there 2 races down on the rest of the field, and it doesn't show up in the points. So you're somebody that I want that confidence to be there, because I'm really confident myself that if you can really start getting that momentum for battles against Brett, the Nicks, the Benjamins of the world, I think there's absolutely a championship there in that 48 car, and to do it in your rookie year, I think would be historic in the Bandit Racing League. So not to hype you up too much, not to jinx you before the races even happen, but yeah, man, it's great to see you back here, and congratulations on a very hard fought 2nd place. You had to be in the right place to get it, and you absolutely were. So you know the deal. You've been here before. Any shout outs to friends and family, any sponsors you want to mention, anything like that, now is your time to do so.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good season. Just gotta keep doing what we're doing, like I said. But yeah, I would like to thank the Twitch viewers at 4Lex Bowman. That's 4LEXBOWM810. Shaw Racing Pro X. Cameron Ferris, my team owner. Thank you guys at Full Send for doing the broadcast. Bill for putting on the league, and everybody for making it a good race.
Perfect. Thank you, Alec. I hope you have a great 2 weeks, actually. We're taking a week off next week once again, and then we'll be back for a number of, I think, to end the season. I don't think we have another break after that. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time at Talladega. Wish you the best of luck there. And in the meantime, just enjoy yourself. Savor the second place.
Bring it on. Thank you. Catch you later.
There you go. With that, driver of the number 48, Mr. Alec Daffin. It was a really stellar performance from him tonight. I was glad to see that Alec is back in the conversation for those podium spots, is back in that true upper echelon. And speaking of a guy who is back up here in the broadcast booth, it's been a little bit, but he's such a huge partner to the series. He's one of the, surely the best unit, I think, altogether in the series so far this year. And tonight, he seemed like the dominant driver in that faction. It is Mr. Kevin Foster back in the broadcast booth here on Full Send Racing Network. Let's bring him in the broadcast booth here and get some final thoughts here before we head off the air from the driver of the number 8. Hey, Kevin, it's Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
10-4.
Hey, Kevin, great to talk to you, man. What a race for you tonight. That was just next level pace from the number 8 car all the way through. From that second stint, we could tell you were going to be a factor for the win, no doubt. So just where did this derive from? You know, such a massive gap in pace from you to, I think, a lot of your GFR teammates throughout the race. What works for you about this Miami track, and are we starting to see a resurgence here for the number 8 car as we get towards the playoffs?
All I can say is the 8 is back. It's been a struggle this season. Sometimes you got to take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward, and you know, the GFR racing guys finally put some practice in. It showed. Qualified 1, 2, 3, 4 there for the race, and it's just it's a blessing, brother. It's a blessing to actually get to talk to you for the first time all year.
Yeah, I was just trying to remember when the last time it would have been was. It's been a while, and you've had those races where you've been in the conversation. You know, there are tracks that I think just typically tend to suit you really well. You're one of the most experienced in the sim. You're the only 2-time Bandit Racing League champion for a reason. But yeah, it's something that's felt different here tonight than it has in a while. And as you start to creep your way back towards the playoff cutoff line, this is definitely going to help. Is that drive there? Is that hunger to make the playoffs there? Is that kind of your first and foremost goal with Talladega and Chicagoland lined up? And yeah, just is this kind of epitomizing of a bigger kind of shift in perspective for the 8 car? Should we expect to see him maybe going for a 3rd if this pace continues?
Yeah, the first half of the year was, you know, just ride around, bide my time, and try to be there at the end. But last couple of weeks, it's been a different mindset as far as, you know, I got a top 10 last week, finished 9th. This week, actually led a couple laps. It's just a different mindset, and you know, just try to follow what Nick Nickerson does. So anything he does, I'm trying to do, and and also running my own race, and it's starting to pay off, and no holds bar, and we're going to make it into the playoffs.
Kevin, it's Chris up here in the broadcast booth. You know, as we're talking about the playoffs here, I'm just looking at the points. Looks like you're 19 points off the cutoff. Between you, David Lakey, Benny Hogan, and Jason is currently on the bubble there. What's your approach in the next couple weeks as you're trying to point your way back into the playoffs? I know you're really hungry. It was good to see you get back in the car and run up front. I know that the viewers love it. I love it, as you're such a big support to the league. So just talk me through what your approach is going to be for the next couple weeks as we approach the chase here.
So for the next 2 races, Chicago is a great track for me. It's very similar. A mile and a half seem to suit my style of driving, and just a few things I've learned here, just in practice, and it's paying off in the race, and that's the biggest thing I can take from that. You know, using what I'm learning in practice, translate it into, you know, top 5 finishes. I know I got 19 points to make up. I missed 1 race. I missed Michigan, unfortunately, due to some connection issues. But the mindset is take no prisoners, give it everything I got, and hopefully everything works out in my favor.
I love what I'm hearing from you tonight, Kevin. This is the best, most optimistic interview I've done in a very, very long time. And what a deserving guy, as we've mentioned a couple times. You were such a huge supporter of the series. We wouldn't be what we are as a series without you and all the support from Perfect Shine and all the sponsors there for GFR Racing. So it's just an incredible result from you tonight. Great to see you back on the podium. Great to get to cap off tonight's broadcast with you. And well, now it's your opportunity. You know the deal. And I think as far as, fittingly mentioning sponsors and as well as friends and family or anybody you want to shout out at home, doesn't get much more fitting than yourself, Kevin. So your time. Your time to cap it off for us.
Well, GFR Racing does have a lot of support from a lot of local people here in Texas. I got a long list here, guys, so bear with me. Frank, Big Red Propane, thank you. Tonight I had the neighbors pool service on there. Ben, thank you for your support. Nick was rocking the VIP glass. Local KD company here in Texas. John, thank you for your support. Got the guys at Advanced Auto Part was on Ricky. Always thank the veterans, men and women that served this great country that was on Chris's car. Thank you guys for that. All of the little associate sponsors. Thanks to everyone that helps make this dream a reality. And then last but not least, big shout out to my wife, my friends and family watching at home. We miss you. We love you. The 8 car's back, and it's going to be a hell of a show for the last half of this season. And thank you guys for putting it on, because without you guys, Full Send, it wouldn't be as special to us. But get to go back and watch the broadcast. It means the world to us. And thank you.
I sincerely appreciate it, Kevin. It's a mutual thing. Without each other, we wouldn't get to do what we do every week in this series. Wouldn't have put on great races like it did tonight. And hopefully everybody at home enjoyed, and hopefully your friends and family watching enjoyed, because Kevin Foster is back. The 8 car's back on the podium, and I'm so excited to see in a couple weeks. Dega, 19 points. I know you can make that up, and hopefully you agree. So have a great rest of your night, Kevin. Congrats on the 3rd, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks' time.
All right. Thank you, guys.
There you go. Congratulations to Kevin Foster, back on the podium for the first time in a couple moons. Just like you were saying there, Chris, at the end of the race, just you got to take some time to gather your breath. My thoughts are plenty, but we only have so much time here post-race. So just to wrap it up, tonight's race at Homestead-Miami, it was everything we were hoping for, had a lot of different fun segments, a lot of different fun runs. And what was your big takeaway tonight, Chris, as you wrap in your final thoughts here?
I would say, the top 3 in points, they didn't really show up tonight. We had a couple mistakes from them. Guys get into each other. I think that's huge. You've opened the door for those other guys to come into the picture, and this championships battle is going to heat up, and it's all about who's going to capitalize on that. And I wouldn't say any of them were able to capitalize on each other. They all finished 3 spots from each other. Nick finished in 4th. I think Brett finished in 7th, and Benjamin finished in 10th. So they're all close to each other on track. And then you have these other guys like Kevin that are able to make up the points gaps and gain that momentum. As you can hear, I can tell you as a competitor of Kevin at one point, that is not a guy that you want to get fired up and give him momentum, because he's gonna take it. He's gonna take it and run with it. And all these other guys are gonna do the same thing. So for these championship contenders, take the week off, recoup, get yourself back right, and then hopefully you can get it back going in time for the chase here. But wow, that was an exciting race, man. There was a lot of different stuff going on. Cautions falling out at weird times, seemingly right when I called it. I know that's probably weird to the viewers, but man, I think that was a great show tonight. We'll take the week off. I'll catch my breath in that week, and we'll be right back here in 2 weeks.
Yes, we will. That's the plan. We will tune in with you guys live. And again, 2 weeks. We won't show the schedule because it has been slightly rearranged. Just know that we'll be back at Talladega on August the 3rd on the Wednesday. That is your next race here in the Bandit Racing League. So keep it locked, keep it ready, and you'll see the link when it goes up on YouTube. All the dates have been changed already, so just stay tuned. 2 weeks from now, you get another week off, and then in a couple Wednesdays' time, we'll be back for Talladega. Before we head off tonight, of course, I want to thank, as always, our series partners, iRacing, the sim that allows us to put this series on and allows us to broadcast it here on Full Send every week. GeezerAuthentics.com, your source for all your Bandit Racing League merch, and check out that new Rollcraft merch courtesy of Bill Harkins and everybody at Geezer Authentics, representing Benny Hogan and Bill Harkins. Benny Hogan having a great night for himself tonight, coming home in 7th. Apex Sim Racing is your place to go for all things sim racing merch related. Use code BANDIT for 5% off your purchase. And Apex Sim Racing, if you need any button boxes, any sort of wheelbases, wheels, pedals, anything you need to get yourself started in the sim racing world. And if you want to be a Bandit Racing League driver one day, what better place to start go check out apexsimracing.com, and the link is, as always, in the description here on YouTube. Perfect Shine Auto Spot, courtesy of Kevin Foster, who we talked to a moment ago. They are your sponsor for many things throughout the race, and they're such a huge supporter of the series. PerfectShineAutospot.com, similarly, is always linked in the description below. Track Cams for Gourmets, they're your source for all of our custom track cams we use here in the Bandit Racing League. They've, I think, really picked up the quality this season. They give me some great visuals to look at, and they give us this great kind of panning cam we do in the background now in this segment. So thank you to Track Cams for Gourmets for providing us some different alternative angles and getting you guys as close as you possibly can to the action in some really cool ways. Check out their stuff in the link down below. EvanWallMedia.com finally will round us off for making all the graphics, everything visual we do for this series, as well as some really cool videos on his own personal channel. He just made another one recapping his, I believe his, I'm not going to make a confident statement as to who it is that races in late models, but he's got a family member who runs late models there in that 91 car. Very similar livery to what he ran when he made his one-off appearance in this series. So go check him out. Some really cool videos he's always putting up there, some really great stuff, and go check out his website for all of his portfolio stuff, or if you need a custom number or a custom paint, that is where you go. With that, I am Marshall for Homestead Racing Network. What a race, what a night. Thank you again to my co-host here, Chris Ferrara, for another awesome broadcast. It is always a pleasure to have him joining me in the booth, because it has probably been the most fun I've had in these last couple weeks in the Bandit Racing League. So for the Triple Crown Challenge tonight, on behalf of Rogue Energy, it is going to be Brandon Jackson taking away round 2 after Nick took the first, and now to the third round of it to determine your Rogue Energy Triple Crown Challenge champion in a few weeks. Thank you to Rogue Energy. Thank you to everybody on their behalf. Thank you to Alan Castle. Remember to use code Castle Esports at checkout when buying any Rogue Energy products to support the league. And finally, Geezer Authentics, the brand that brings us the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series. With that, have a great week, everybody. We will see you in 2 weeks at Talladega. I've been Marshall. This is the Bandit Racing League, and we will see you very soon.